Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week, another edition of the High Roller Super Millions being played over at GGPoker. It is a very warm Tuesday over here in Europe. I don't know how it is for you, Nano. I believe it's always hot in Australia, but how are you doing, matey? Are you excited for tonight?
Yeah, definitely very excited. Definitely not hot right now, but it's a bit of winter, but it's all good. It's going to be very exciting today. Of course, we do this every week, right? We always got a 10K, and we always get the same faces coming back to these final tables, which is really cool. I really like that, and I'm pretty excited for this one. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but the GG high stakes cash games has been hitting it off. They've been playing 200, 400 with straddle, 500, 1000. You see guys like Limitless. Even Michael Adamo was playing those. Man, I was railing something that was really sick. He lost his huge $800,000 pot the other day, and just he's been involved in so many pots. He plays the tournament where he just plays these super sick hands all the time, and there's other cool guys playing. I saw Christopher Brewer playing that, which is one of the guys that actually I didn't know much about, but actually plays these 10K Super Millions and final tables. So it's been really exciting over at GGPoker right now.
Yes, I feel like I say this every week when I'm like, guys, obviously we're excited for the tournament, but I just want to say that this has been a crazy week in the world of online poker. But you're spot on. I have been watching a little bit. It's pretty unreal to watch. It's really cool because it's kind of bringing me back to the early days when I first started following poker a long time ago during my Warcraft 3 days. That's kind of the days where Elky was making noise. People are like, oh, it's just some crazy action happening online. And it really does feel like it's making a resurgence here in 2020. It's been fantastic to watch. Not just the high stakes cash games, which indeed really have been popping off, but of course all the bracelets events as well. I've been watching some of the guys streaming their heads up 10K bracelet run. That was a lot of fun. I saw our boy Elky having a decent run. He actually lost against Michael Adamo heads up, but he did finish in the money. So it's been a lot of fun, and I couldn't agree more. It's been a crazy week in the world of online poker.
Speaking about the heads up, there's a 10K heads up with 4 people left, and Michael Adamo is one of those 4 people still in the tournament. And then we had Daniel DeVoris won the Millionaire Maker with so many entries for 1.5 million. Just so much crazy stuff where you're thinking okay, is it likely that someone known is going to win the Millionaire Maker? You would say probably not because there's so many entries, but it just happens over and over again, these bracelet events. So I'm just excited, and it's like I said, in this 10K Super Millions, we got the same people coming back, new faces. This is going to be a special one.
I gotta say, I'm kind of feeling this purple vibe that we got going on over here. I like it. It's new. I'm normally not much of a green screen guy, and this is actually done without a green screen, but I'm definitely feeling it. I'm loving the vibe of it, feeling comfortable. You just said Millionaire Maker had a lot of entries. That's spot on. Who also had a lot of entries? Us, over here at the High Roller Super Millions, by far and away the most entries we've had so far. The previous record was at 210 entries. We had that last week and the week before that. Spot on, exactly 210. This time we had 237 entries. So when we say that it's a busy week over at GGPoker, we're not lying. We can see that here being reflected as well in the participation count when it comes to the High Roller Super Millions.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's just getting bigger and bigger. And, as more people hear about the event, they want to play it. Of course, it's a big guarantee, 2 million. And I think from now on, from every week, we're going to see someone we know, right? I don't know if there's going to be a week where we don't see a reappearing final table list at some point. So, yeah, let's go.
Let's go indeed, guys. You know the drill by now. Obviously, we start our show at 8 p.m. Central European Summer Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Western. But the actual poker show starts in 30 minutes, or in this case, 25 minutes from now. But we actually like to go over the players a little bit and take a look at one of the hands they had that brought them to the final table, which obviously gives us a better idea of who everybody is. Hopefully gets you guys at home a little more excited over everybody we got at the final table as well. And it just kind of tells a story. Otherwise, it's all right, we go live. Here are cards, and then boom, boom, boom. Sometimes we lose somebody within 1 or 2 hands, and we don't even really give them credit for making the final table. So this is our pre-show. We really dig this part. I have been having a lot of fun with it. I know you as well, Nano. Let's get it started. Let's take a look at our chip leader here for the 9th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. This one doesn't truly stand out to me, but maybe you can tell me a lot more about it, Nano.
Yeah, I don't know much about this guy Brewer. I'm not sure how to exactly say this, but based on his results, it does kind of seem like it's his first Super Millions appearance. So probably just like, yeah, I won a lot of money. It looks like he got second place in a 1K WSOP Senior event for $885,000, which is a lot for a 1K. Because clearly it's the main event, and that he just like, yeah, let's spend 10K on the Super Millions and run for it. I really don't know much about him. He plays $500 tournaments, as you can see. He got second place, and there's a chance this guy he could be potentially one of those chip leader wild cards. He could be a pro. I really don't know.
Well, he's definitely on a bit of a heater because that ring event represents the majority of his winnings so far in GGPoker. And then he's like, all right, first time, let's give the high roller Super Million a shot, shall we? 10K buy-in. Well, here he is. Final table comes in as chip leader with 69 big blinds. Let's take a look at one of the hands he had on his journey to the final table. And maybe that will tell us a little more of what we're dealing with. Nano, take it away. This is your territory.
Well, it looks like he defends the Jack 4 suited, which seems pretty standard from the big blind. Flops really good, right? The pair and the flush draw. Check calls the half pot bet. Makes the flush, checks the checks again. But the river is the interesting part, where usually when people see their opponent check back the turn, they usually just go for some value, but he goes for another check, just knows his opponent will likely read this as weakness. He gets his opponent to bet and call off a huge check raise all in with Queen 10, where let's just say he just bet out the river, he would have just got called and not got paid off as much. So like, it just looks like this is one of those hands where he got paid off huge. Actually, based on this hand alone, it does seem like I would assume this is probably a pro, because a lot of recreational players get a little greedy and just want to bet out the river themselves rather than go for the big check raise.
Can confirm. Love to be greedy on the river. Never get called. So looking forward to seeing more of our chip leaders. 69 big blinds is a lot. Not as much as Holiday had. He came in once upon a time with 85 or something. By far and away the biggest chip lead we've ever seen heading into a final table. But this is obviously a very decent stack to start this journey off with. Let's take a look at our second player at the final table today. Oh my goodness, he's back, Nano. Your guy. Chris Fitzgerald, you were a little mean to him. I don't think that was truly justified. I mean, he played some solid poker. Yeah, was he a little tight? Sure. But with a jacket like that and glasses and a beard, you can't do much wrong for me. But he's back. Chris Fitzgerald again.
Yeah, if you guys don't remember Chris Fitzgerald, we watched him he got 5th place on July 26th. And that one, I was being a little critical on his play in the sense that he was making just some really big pre-flop folds. Where he was folding like 7s, 8s, and 9s. I think 10s. I don't really remember exactly what the 10s will happen. But you know what? He's not a bad player. In those hands, he was just being very extra conservative as that middling stack, going for those ICM ladder. But you know, based on the final hand he played, he really went through this crazy bluff. It did not work. Where he turned his hand into a bluff against one of the guy who won the tournament, LKS, and I know he's very capable of plays. On his previous hand history, he had some big bluffs. You can see he's in for multiple bullets, but he's in a different position than he was last final table. Last final table, he was like that middling shorter stack, but now he's in second place. And I think he's really going to step it up this time because probably with the big stack like this, he knows he can put the pressure, and I know he's got the skills. This guy, it's just that last time I was just giving him a little hard time just because of those big pre-flop folds, not because of his post-flop play.
I want to point out as well that this is his 3rd Super Millions appearance, and he cashed all 3 times in second final table. I mean, you said he had multiple bullets in this one, sure, but that's still cashing 3 for 3, 2 out of 3 final table. Not quite 20 big will 20 numbers, but pretty damn close to it. You know, that's quite impressive. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Chris Fitzgerald had that brought him to his second final table. Queens set, but actually full house even. Well, Nano, I think these are the kind of hands where you look at the flop and you're like, all right, how do I get the most value out of a hand like this?
Yeah, it actually looks like in this spot, he tried to get a lot of value, but he actually got probably the minimum. He re-raises the queens. He puts out just 2 big blinds on the flop, which, you know, he wants to continue because he noticed a board where he should be continuation bet bluffing a lot. So he tries to put a very little because he knows his opponent can't have too much. Does get his opponent called the ace jack, goes for the check on the turn, and the river goes for another check, trying to get his opponent to bet, but his opponent Adrian Mateos didn't fall for the trap, so he didn't get the maximum amount of value here. But you can see that he is a tricky, trappy player, so you are going to have to be aware and careful against him.
I gotta say, that's one hell of a check on the river by Adrian Mateos, though, with the ace. I think a lot of players would love to bet their ace jack there, and I wouldn't even fault them for it. So unfortunate for Chris Fitzgerald, but it didn't stop him to make it to another final table. I am happy to see him again, and maybe this is just the way to do it, Nano. Be a little more conservative, get rid of those smaller pocket pairs. It's not all about shoving and, you know, all that value all the time. Sometimes your tournament life is more important. And Chris Fitzgerald is definitely putting up some decent scores here. Let's take a look at our third player that has made it to this final table, the 9th edition already. And this is an interesting one, Sir Rabbit. Someone that we have quite to talk about, Nano.
Yeah, this is Roger Tonder. I got some information from Elke. He knows Elke pretty well. It looks like he probably plays at the King's Casino pretty regularly. He's a high roller who doesn't play. He's not a professional player, but he loves the game. He's the founder of MCI Events. And, you know, I heard he's very aggressive, and he's in 3rd place. And, you know, he was like, yo, I want my real name out there. I have some friends watching this. And, you know, that's someone who loves poker, and it's cool to see. But it looks like he's very good at getting 2nd place, right? Based on his career highlights, he keeps getting 2nd place. So I'm thinking he's due for a 2nd place today.
Don't do that. We have a term for that in the world of StarCraft too. And some people are actually like, once it becomes a thing, then the community gets behind it and everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to get another 2nd place. Well, let's hope for Roger that this time he could potentially go all the way. Definitely comes in with a lot of chips. It's really cool to see the founder of the MCI Events company here at the final table. Let's take a look at one of the hands he had that brought him to the final table tonight. And maybe that will tell us a little more about the way he's been playing. 10s against 9s, Nano. But what else do you see?
Well, in this hand, it doesn't seem very standard. In this spot, he calls in the small line with the 10s. He leads out the flop on a jack high board, kind of like see where he's at, maybe get some value here and there. And he does pick up a call. Turn, he check calls, and then the river pairs. So there's 2 jacks and 2 deuces out there, and he actually bets out about 1/3 of the pot, trying to get like those ace highs or little pairs of call, and he managed to get the 2 9s. And actually in this pot, I think he actually got a lot of value somehow, whereas a lot of times it goes like check call flop, check check turn, and probably just check check river, or maybe a small bet in the river, you know. And he's got a lot of value in this spot, and I think his opponents at this final table, most of them are probably professional players, are going to might not be able to predict how Sir Rabbit Roger is going to play here, and it could really go either way.
Yeah, if Roger does have a very aggressive image, it does make a lot of sense to call here with the 9s, right, on the river, because you can like, could be bluffing with an ace high, or might even think that ace high is just good here. Maybe my 9s are good. In this case, that wasn't the case. Well, it's going to be fun. Really cool to have him here at the final table. It's always nice as well when Elke gets really excited. It's like, oh yeah, I actually know this guy, and then it gives us some information that gets us a little more excited as well. Comes in is 3rd. It was in chips, so definitely has a lot of chips to play with as well. We'll see how it all plays out when the cards go up in the air. Let's take a look at our next player at tonight's final table, as we have another Croatian making to the final table, Rui Ferreira, actually originally from Portugal, but apparently playing from Croatia. I was about to say, that is not a Croatian name at all. That doesn't even sound remotely Croatian. But what can you tell us about him, Nano?
Ruin F, he's just He's a very big crusher. He makes deep runs all the time. He's kind of like the European. They just keep getting far all the time. And this is his first time in the Super Millions that has gotten this far. He's played it 6 times, so hasn't had any luck. But he's going to come in 4th position in 40 big blinds. This guy is a grinder. This guy plays like every single type of scoop that exists. Like, it doesn't matter what game and all scoops. And he plays all the WSOP events. This guy is just keeps getting to the end. He's a very good tournament player, one of the best out there. And, he's not one of those big names, from live poker, but on an online game, he's one of the guys to watch.
Well, like you said, comes in with 39 big blinds, so definitely has a lot of play potentially tonight as well. Let's take a look at one of the hands that brought him to the final table. Ruin F. I like the sound of that. Could be my pick, man. That could be my pick. We'll see. We've got the 7-6 suited here, battling it out with the 5-4. What else do you see that stands out in this hand?
Well, in this hand, he actually defends a 7-6 suited in the small blind. So this alone just says that he's very confident in his post-flop play, because some players just play a 3-bet or fold from the small blind. He decides to call, and then he flops the flush draw, check calls, goes check on the turn. He makes the very disguised straight on the river, goes for the big bet and gets paid off by the bottom 2 pair. But you got to remember, he doesn't probably expect his opponent to ever have 2 pair here. So his bet size is pretty good, where it's not like a million chip bet or anything, but just big enough where he gets those ace rags to call, but not too big, whereas maybe his opponent could hero fold. So like I said, this guy is just a very strong player. I don't think this hand is going to indicate like some crazy plays or anything, but I'm telling you, this guy could easily ship it if he gets a little bit of momentum.
All right. Well, I'm excited. You've got me on board. Let's take a look at our 5th player. We've got 14 minutes before the cards go up in the virtual air. So I don't think we really have to rush it, but we obviously have to keep the clock in mind. We've got a Russian player. I'm actually surprised that we didn't have that many Russians yet at these final tables. I feel like there's often a lot of online crushes coming out of that region of the world. We haven't seen too many Russian players yet, but we do have one right here. Arthur has obviously done very well in some live events. And what else can you tell me about Arthur?
Arthur Martirosian, he's Arthur online. I didn't know this guy was such a big high roller. I know I've seen him play. He's kind of also like those Rui F in European, where they just play all the time. I don't know much about his actual play, but this guy has won 625Ks on GG Network Blade high rollers. Every time I look at the lobby and those 10Ks and 5Ks, he's in it. He's in for multiple bullets. This is just a big crush. He got 6.6 million earnings on GGPoker. He loves the site, as you can see. He can easily take this one down as well. I just want to point out, I guess when you don't really know what screen name to make, you often just use your name in it, because he's known as Mar Arthur, which is his last name and first name, as you can see, and then the last guy Ruin F uses the same thing. You don't know what screen name to make, just take some of your first name and last name and you spice one up.
Turns out you don't have to be a great poker player to have a creative nickname. That's what I'm taking away from it. So if you're ever trying to come up with a very clever name at GGPoker, don't worry about it. Just make something. It's the play that matters, not the names. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Arthur had that brought him to his first Super Million high roller final table. As I believe we've got some pocket threes here on a Jack 6-6 board. All right. No. Well, it's not much, but talk to us.
It's not much, but I think it's actually important to see this hand, because there was a time when people wouldn't raise to kind of see where they're at or just take down the pot. But people were just saying that's just a bad play if you're a professional. But now a lot of pros are actually doing it, and you can see here Arthur is going to raise the flop after continuation bet with the pocket threes, because the hand is vulnerable. There's also some cards where it's hard to call down multiple barrels, but you probably have the best hand. You can get counterfeited, and plays just change over time, and poker evolves, and this is just really cool to see. And when you see like a big pro like this do this, and you're like, okay, there's something out there that's important to know.
Wanted to know where he was at, took it all down. Never a bad thing to happen in poker. Looking forward to watching Arthur play. Like I said, I feel like we haven't had enough Russians yet, even though we did of course have we see them in the VIP tables over at GGPoker. Well, unfortunately not too much yet here at the High Roller Super Million. So it's good to have him. Let's see what he can bring. Came in with roughly 30 big blinds, I believe, as well. So definitely plenty of chips to work with. We have a few more players to go over. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next player. I have no idea who it's going to be. Well, Nano, this seems to be someone that you're very familiar with.
I wouldn't say I'm very familiar with David Misakowski, but I believe I might have met him once from some of my friends at the World Series. But regardless, he's from San Diego. He's an American player. He won a bracelet in 2014. He got 6th place in 2015. This guy just loves the World Series of Poker agency, but it looks like he's been a bit quiet since 2015 in terms of World Series results. So I'm not sure what happened. Did he take a break? Did he run bad? Who knows? But I can tell you, he's played all the Super Millions, but this is his very first cash. He's got 32 big blinds, and I'm pretty sure he's a good player.
All right, let's take a look at one of the hands he had on his journey to the final table. Definitely has quite some GGPoker winnings, so seems to be a fan of the site as well, and we love to see that, of course. All right, we've got the Queen 8 making the straight on the river, but what else do you see?
I mean, this is such a nasty hand, right? Like, you bet the flop with nothing. The guy's got top pair. How do you win this hand? He turns an inside straight draw, bets again, gets called by the 2 pair. And then he makes the hand on the river and he goes for another bet. But, you know, some people here with the Queen 8 offsuit, right? They're like, oh, when I get check call on his flop, they've got to have an ace, right? So, but, you know, you can see David here. He just keeps betting here with just very little equity. But he's got a little chance, right? And he gets there and gets the value. Clearly, he's probably a pretty aggressive player based on this hand alone. You can see multi-barreling with this hand. And then you can see that his opponent, Darren Elias, makes 2 pair, but is like, look, I'm going to trap this guy because I know he bluffs a lot. So he just calls with the 2 pair. And, you know, it's another new player at this final table, which is cool to see. But it's not like a new player that sucks at this game. It's a good player, right, that makes it. And we know there's a lot of crushers out there that we don't know about. And I'm happy to learn more about these guys.
Yeah. This is one of these hands where if I'm Darren Elias, I do throw up a little bit, where I'm like, oh, come on. It's brutal, but it's all in the game. Looking forward to seeing more of David tonight. It's good to have him here for the first time. We have 3 more players, I believe, to cover before we start with the final table. Benjamin Roller. Well, I feel like whenever I see an Austrian, I'm like, oh, is it another one of these Austrian guys with a button-up shirt and a great beard and some glasses and a scarf? But hey, is this Ben? Oh my goodness, it's Ben CB. Wow, I didn't even pay attention, Nano. Well, that's please talk to us why it is so awesome to have Ben CB here at the final table. That's insane. Yeah. I didn't even know.
Ben CB 789. He's one of the very best online tournament players in the game. Like he's one of the most successful. Like when they talk about the best online tournament pros, this guy is always up there. He's always making deep runs. He continually ships tournaments. He's the founder of Raise Your Edge. You know, Lex is a big fan of him, right? I think they do some coaching here and there. I mean, like, you watch Lex's stream, right? You see him, you know, you're a fan of the European. Like, this is another other guy, right? Ben CB.
Oh, I know. It's always about Ben CB. He gets a lot of praise, not only from Lex. He gets praise from like every streamer. If he ever makes it to one of the tables, everyone speaks very highly of him. And it's really cool because fun little side fact is that Raise Your Edge actually has a StarCraft 2 team as well. So a lot of people in the StarCraft 2 scene are like, yeah, let's go Raise Your Edge. You know, we're all getting on board. And we think it's super cool that they're showing some love to StarCraft as well. So that automatically made me a bit of a fan as well. And I was like, all right, you know, I don't know that much. I know he's a crusher, obviously, because you always see him making epic runs. See him post a lot as well. He's been stepping up his social media game lately. Yeah. That's fun. Even did some streams. So that's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's really cool because, like, but, you know, BNCB actually, he remained hidden for a very long time. And I think about a year ago, he made this, like, appearance, like, look, I'm going to reveal to the world who I am. Showed his face, showed his name, and he's like, look, I want to help people get better at the game, help people with their fitness and all these things. He's just a really nice guy. I spoke to him before. I subscribed to his content. I know his content, but I haven't watched too much because I'm a little of a lazy poker player, more of a commentator these days. But it's very good, very thorough. So if you're into trying to learn, maybe check out his site. There's a lot of good sites. I also like, you know, Fedor's site's also very good. The Poker Code. So, like, these guys are just the best in the game. And I would say his site and Poker Code are probably the best training sites for MTT players.
Well, let's take a look at one of the hands that Ben CB had that brought him to the final table tonight. That is so cool. You know, I was kind of busy with the StarCraft stream before, and then I host this channel. So we do have some StarCraft fans in the audience as well. And I'm sure that a lot of them will be cheering for Ben CB because it's like, all right, this guy, raise your edge, supporting StarCraft, and we are going to support Ben CB. But this is obviously going to be super cool to watch him play with whole cards up. Really interesting stuff. We see that he had a 6-4 here, and Nano, unless I can't read the whole cards because it's a bit pixelated, he didn't have a whole lot, but neither did his opponent.
Yeah, in this spot, he defends the big blind 6-4 offsuit, and he check calls the flop of bottom pair. Now, what's important here is that Nick Petrangelo actually bet pretty big on that flop, and some players actually give up the bottom pair when they defend this hand, just thinking, well, they raise from early position, they likely have an ace. Me calling here, it just seems like it's maybe burning money, but you know, Ben CB knows his opponent very well, still makes the call, and he's also defending very weak hands like this because he's very confident in post-flop play. It doesn't say too much more than that, but I've watched some of his hands. There's this one epic tournament where he was a big chip leader, was making big bluffs on people and like very deep in the tournament. This guy's got it all. He's very scary to play against, but also very solid.
Yeah, it's really cool that we're getting a lot of these, stars they are, right? We had, of course, Isaac Axton, we had Fader Holtz. Now we've got Ben CB here at the final table. We had the European twice already as well. So that's really cool. It's a nice mix always. I feel like some old school poker players, some online crushers, some, businessmen as well, making it to the final table every now and then. Really cool. Extremely excited to watch Ben CB play tonight. That's going to be awesome. Let's take a look at our next player. Obviously, Ben CB does come into the final table as one of the shortest stacks, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Next up is Christopher Brewer, somebody that we've seen before. Second final table here at the High Roller Super Millions, and his 5th cash already, Nano. That's insane.
Yeah, he's a regular on Live at the Bike. I didn't know much about Christopher Brewer before, kind of similar to Chris Fitzgerald. I didn't know much about these guys, but these Chris's are very big crushers. And he's a regular Live at the Bike, which is cash game. And I was like, I don't know that much because I don't watch that show. But the other day I was railing, you know who sat at that 500 1000 game? Christopher Brewer with 100K playing against Limitless, Michael Adamo, and Tan, and all those guys. So this guy is clearly a good cash game player. Wow. Unfortunately, he did lose 100K when I was railing, so maybe I'm the bad luck railer. Who knows? But he's clearly got the game, and I'm sure he'll be back. And he's here. He's back. He's here to win his 100K back at the minimum, which he's pretty close to doing.
Now, before we go ahead and take a look at his hand that helped him to get to his second final table, what is the perfect time in general to rail the VIP table? Because I've seen some action there as well, but a few times when I checked, it was mostly just a little heads-up match. I haven't really seen the full ring. So for the people out there, what is like the perfect time if you are a real bird to watch the crazy action take place at GGPoker?
Dude, that game runs at random times because you know why? Limitless was like, yeah, I think someone said he was playing like a 40-hour session or something. Oh, so, and that's, I think it's around the clock. It's just whenever, Tan wants to play, or like whenever some high rollers want to battle it out. Just keep looking at those VIP tables in the GGPoker lobby. It's going to happen probably today, I'm going to guess.
I watched a great little interview as well that he did with Joey Ingram, who I absolutely love. Been watching his videos for a long time, where he's like, oh yeah, I'll play anybody. I'll play drunk, I'll drink a bottle of wine. I was like, oh my God, this is definitely the guy to watch right now. This seems very entertaining. He's like, I think it's what poker needs. And I'm like, yes, this is amazing, mate. Anyway, let's take a look at this hand of Christopher Brewer real quick. He's got queen 6, made a pair of queens on the flop. What else do you see?
Not really much, honestly, besides he defended the queen 6 from the small blind after limping, which is a pretty big play. A lot of people just limp fold this hand, and besides that, I'm just excited to see him play again because I know this guy's a high roller, right? A high stakes live crusher.
Yep, I believe we have one more player to cover before we take a look at our final table. I've kind of lost track and I've lost my document as well, but I do believe we have one more. Let's take a look at our last player. Yes, this is our shortest stack, currently in 9th position. Indeed, comes into the final table with 15 big blinds. A Canadian Nano. What can you tell us about Mr. Barrer?
I mean, you go ahead and switch to his hand history, but Ami Barrer he's been around a long time. He's known as Ami, very good player, very nice guy, loves the Aussie Millions. He's won it before for 1.4 million.
it's crazy when they love a tournament that they also win, right? It's like it's easy to love the Aussie Millions, I think, if you end up winning it. It's like, well, this was a great tournament, actually. Everything about this tournament was perfect. We've got 1 minute before the cards go up in the virtual era, so we're going to make this real quick. He had ace queen, did not really make anything, but still managed to take it down with a massive bet on the river.
Yeah, he took it against R2's offset at this final table and just made a big bluff. And when the flush got there, sometimes, you know, when the flush gets there, you don't have it. As long as you got that queen of diamond blocker, it's good enough to go all in.
Well, guys, that was it. That was our pre-show. Let's take a look at our table. Let's see where everybody ended up sitting, because I don't believe that we're going to do the seat selection live. Or maybe we are, actually, because we did it last week. I'm just not going to speak about anything that I'm not sure about. The tournament will kick off in 1 minute. I'm really excited. I'm loving the lineup, of course. I have to admit, majority of my focus will definitely go towards Ben CB. I want to see how he will play with whole cards up, right? This is exciting. It's interesting. Unfortunately, he doesn't have one of the biggest stacks, but 1.6 million should still have some play left in him.
Yeah. So who's your pick for tonight? Who's your pick? You got a lot of choices. Who's your pick?
Yeah, that's tricky. Now, I feel like before, one time I really wanted to pick Isaac Haxton, but I was like, that's really dumb because he comes in as shortest stack, so Isaac is probably not going to win. And then he ended up winning it. I'm like, no. I actually believe in Arthur, man. I see that Russian flag, and I've got a nice, I've got a good feeling about Arthur. Online crusher, 2.7 million is more than enough to make plenty of moves. I believe that Arthur can potentially take it all down tonight.
I definitely do think he can take it down. That guy plays he won 625Ks here on GG Network. They are going to do the seat switching. I'm gonna go with Ben CB. I'm gonna give Ben CB some love. I think if he gets one double up, this guy's got the capability to ship this tournament. And you know, he understands ICM probably. He might understand the best of all these players. You know, this guy makes training sites, but he's just very good. He's a creative mind, and he does not tilt. You know, he knows every poker player makes mistake, but this guy does not tilt. He's just very zen, right? And he's got the fitness in there. I think he's got what it takes to just pick up a little bit of chips.
It's also interesting that we've got a chip leader that we're not that familiar with, right? He is not labeled under his real name. He's just a username on the website, and that definitely makes it a bit spicy. His play looked good in the hand that we saw, but that's kind of all we know at this point. We haven't seen him before at the final table, so that definitely does feel like a wild card here as well. 4.8 million chips, and we don't know much about him.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, some people are actually just time expiring their seat switching thing. They just like, yeah, I don't need to show up for seat switching.
You know, I've noticed this as well.
Third or fourth guy. Yeah, a lot of people have been doing it.
Yeah, but I think if you're like, you know, you come in as 7th or even 8th in the final table, then like, yeah, you can swap, but does it really change that much? You know, I've had this happen to me as well, where one time played a little tournament, made final table, and I think I came in as like 7th in chips, and I'm like, yeah, I'll just let it expire. You know, we'll see what the rest does. But at this point, I really didn't feel like I had much of an impact. I do like the element a lot, especially if you come in as like a top 3 or a top 4 stack. It really does feel that you can make a big impact. But if you come in as one of the shortest stacks, I think it's okay to just kind of let it go.
You know what was funny? So Chris Fitzgerald took position on the chip leader, and the chip leader just like, yeah, let me just swap with you really quick. So, you know, Chris Fitzgerald's like, hope you time out on your seat switch in here. So we got the game clock going, right? So you only got X amount of time to act. And if that runs down to 0, you got like 5 seconds to act. Cards are up.
Yep, 40K, 80K blind, small blind, big blind. So obviously that is going to go up. It actually doesn't work with time here at final table at GGPoker. It's just with the amount of hands. You guys can see that in the top left side. Here we go. My man Arthur, what a pick, Nano. This is just, you can call me Mystic Roddy at this point. I pick guys who wake up with kings in the first hand of the tournament, or at least first hand of the final table.
Yeah, I mean, that guy is really aggressive, very good, my Arthur, and he definitely has a very good chance. You know, I don't, of course, yeah, we didn't pick some of the other guys, but they're all very good players, right? We got Ruin F, who I think he was probably the other guy I was going to pick too, that I think can do really well. And you know, we got the 2 Chris's that has made this final table again, and you know, it's just it's it's very unpredictable, but good to see Ben CB to pick up his chips. Looks like the guys we pick, right? They win the first pot real quick. Just
Yes,
some
we
blinds.
can call it a blessing, Nano. It's okay. Now, in the previous weeks, what we often had for if you guys are new to the show here or you're here for the first time, is that often things started off incredibly explosive. Like we were barely done with the introductions and we lost a player, we lost the second player, and then a couple of people are just trying to ladder up. Right now, we don't have an extreme short stack, right? Like, yeah, of course, Mr. Barra comes in with 1 million. So he's at 12 big blinds at this point. That is pretty short, but it's not like ultra dangerous where he's like at 5 big blinds and he needs to shove basically any hand if he wants to have a chance of winning the entire thing. So I have the feeling that we're going to have a slower start to the final table tonight.
Yeah, but we do have a bigger average stack than normal, and so like 30, 40 big blinds plus for a lot of players. But
Mhm.
what's different? I want to point out that there's times when we've had some big stacks, but people would just freaking bust left and right, right? Like it always happens in heads up where you're like, oh man, this one could take hours, right? They're like 70 big blinds plus deep, and then some of them ended in like three
Uh-oh.
hands or something. And there's going to be big action here between Roger, the only recreational player at this final table, and Ruin F, the pocket queens. It's a classic one coming.
Well, Arthur could be in a bit of trouble here as well. You said he's incredibly aggressive. He's obviously familiar with Roger here as well, knowing that he's not like an ultra regular when it comes to the grinding high stakes online. So he's
Yeah.
actually going to 3-bet the ace 10 from the button. But here is who we have as well with the queens on the big blind.
Yeah, Ruin F. I mean, look, sometimes you're like, oh man, it's a final table. We're all like really strong stacks. There's a raise and re-raise in front of me, but you can't let this go against Arthur, who's, is capable of many big bluffs. There's the shove all in. Now, Roger here with the ace king is like, oh man, I have to commit all of the chips if I continue here. I don't think he can let this one go though, but oftentimes you're flipping at best, but then again it's ace king. Because the thing is,
Mhm.
you don't think your opponents are ever doing is ace queen. Ace king is a dog. He does make a big fold there of ace king to save himself because he definitely is behind there, especially with some aces dead. Very big fold from Roger.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the fact Roger comes into the final table as third in chips. Rune F came in as fourth, right? It's like, oh, this is such a monster pot. Like if you have aces or kings, sure, I think then you're willing to do it. Ace king, flipping for all your chips this early on while there are so many stacks shorter than you. And on top of that, we know that Roger has a lot of friends watching as well. It's
Yeah.
like you don't tell everybody to tune in for the show, and then potentially you bust in hand 3 with ace king, right? It's like I think in different scenarios, Roger might call there, but I think it actually makes some sense here that he doesn't make the
Mm.
call.
There's definitely a chance that, say it was very close. Whenever something's close, you always want to go for the little bit more passive option, right? Because you're like, oh, I got all my friends watching. They're like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Don't join the stream. The stream actually just crashed and died, and it never actually happened. And yeah, I got super cooler. No, but
Yeah.
it's very possible to happen. I would say though, I don't actually know what the right play was with Ace King there because it wouldn't surprise me from an ICM point of view that maybe you had to fold that hand knowing that you are going to get in no matter what. Uh, but I'm not a super expert in that field to say Benjamin CV would know that answer. But unfortunately, he's not going to be coaching Roger right while they're playing. Like, hey, check out my site and figure out how to play that hand. Regardless, Ben CB is probably going to open his button. Maybe Ruin F might open this cutoff. I'm not sure, but Ami Bear should be reshoving the pocket eights and taking it down.
Yep. And shortest stack at the table in the small blind, pocket eights. It's not a dream, but this is one of these spots. It's like, well, if I want to accomplish anything at this final table tonight, I may have to go for it. But if Ben CB does get a little crazy here with the A6 suited, then there is a chance that Barra will actually get away from it with his eights, though, right?
Yeah, he could get away. He could also go with it. Who knows? He is going to get crazy with the A6 suited. Go for that very small 3-bet. When you see a 3-bet from a 20 big blind stack, it looks really, really strong. So Ben CB is going to make that play. And we saw a European make this play, but it failed on the last time we watched him at a final table with the Ace-5 offsuit. So you can
Yeah.
see these big pros like to make these plays with these Ace-X type hands, and Ruin F does get away. And you saw Ami Bear folded the best hand, pocket eights, and nice play.
Yeah. I can't really blame Ami though, because it is scary. It's like, all right, if somebody opens, especially after somebody just took down a big pot, they often feel like they're going a bit of a heater, right? So it's like, everybody folds to Rune F. His open range could be pretty wide there. But then the three bet of Ben CB, like you said, 20 big blind stack, three bet, that feels powerful. And you're like, well, maybe I should shove eights here, but there's also a chance that I'm drawing to a two-outer, so maybe I'll wait for a better spot. And I actually don't blame the move there by Ami at all, or I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Rather.
Yeah. But if he had a big read on Ben CB, he made that play, it would have been a big favor. But the thing is, once Ben CB three bets to like that 5.5 big blinds, and Ami's only got 10 big blinds, he knows he's going to get called. But let's just say, he definitely wouldn't have folded if Benjamin's folded, because now he's got fold equity against the two big blind raise. But that's what you need to think about too when you got these middling pocket pairs, because the way to play them is to get the fold equity, not let's force some showdown at a final table with big page ups.
Meanwhile, we had a little battle there, small blind versus big. Actually, no, it was button versus small blind between our two chip leaders, but Chris Fitzgerald gave up the Jack 10. Are we going to see round two over here? A King 5 suited in the small blind against the pocket nines. I assume that nines are going to three bet here, right?
Well, nines should be raising against this limp. He's the chip lead. He's easily going to take it down. It's a good hand. I want to see what Chris Fitzgerald does. Is he going to limp call here? He's got the chips to play. I was thinking that he's going to be a bit of a different player this final table because he's got the chips. He is going to make the call here, which is cool to see. But on this flop, not much you can really do. Chip leader, you just could throw out a little bit of chips in. He's going to win this one, right?
Pretty amazing flop for pocket nines. You're like, all right, I don't mind that. We're okay with that. It's going to fire a very small bet. 2.5 big blinds into this spot of 600K at this point. And Chris Fitzgerald is probably going to have to wave the white flag again. It always feels a little annoying when, you're battling it out with the same guy 2 pots in a row and he's getting the better of you 2 hands in a row. And he's going for the play, but Nano, I don't think
I told you though, but Chris is a different player when he's got the chips, right? He was tight when he's shorter, but but the 9 doesn't really matter, right? Because the 3 jacks play on the board. But Chris makes the play with the check raise. I don't know if I really like it though, because he doesn't represent anything, in my opinion. He really doesn't represent anything. I think Chris just thought, look, maybe you're one of those chip leaders that raised me with 10-3 offsuit, and I'm just going to take you off your hand, and it made the play. But I'm not really in love with the check raise against the chip leader on this jack board.
I think it's just frustration. It's like, all right, previous hand, he got me off it immediately on the flop already. I'm not just going to give up 2 hands in a row on the flop. Let's make a stance. And at this point, Chris realizes that this was not the pot to make a stance. You say the 9 doesn't change anything, but I still think it's very nice to see the 9, right? Because it's not an overcard, and it's very unlike. Obviously, it doesn't help your opponent. If that's an ace, king, queen, or not another jack. But even if it is another jack, that'd be disastrous. But it's still a nice card to see there if you have pocket nines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Probably would have saw another 9 on the river card. That's my. Oh, there is no more 9s. Oh, there is one more. What am I thinking? So the 10s. Christopher Brewer should be shoving here. Yes, you're up against under the gun, but the thing is, you got 11 big blinds. You got fold equity against Arthur. There's the shove.
Gets the fold. Well done.
Yeah, no bust outs yet. Usually we lose someone out like in first 5 minutes.
Mate, there have been weeks where we were already down to 6 players at this point. It's like 12 minutes into play, and it's like, all right, so this person busted for 42, the other one went out for 64, and we got somebody 78. Like, no, I actually kind of like the way that this is going. Unfortunately, Brewer did not manage to pick up a single pot yet, as we do have Ben CB here with the ace jack. Completely missed, does have a couple of backdoors, but that's about it. But we'll probably still continue here, right?
He likely will continue. The thing is, the big blind will just have to check fold a lot. He's got a lot of good turn cards. You can consider multi-barreling. Some players will opt to check, but when you check, you play a very big guessing game against the big blinds who are very aggressive. They might just stab with some inside straight draws, and you might fold the best hand. You might call down incorrectly. Who knows? So betting just gets it done a lot easier and simpler.
Ben CB definitely making plays, right? Already gained 700,000 chips so far at this final table, and did it without really getting his hands dirty. Never
Yeah,
really
that's.
was an extreme.
I mean, he did make that little rude play with the ace-6 suited earlier, right, against Runa. But that's the thing with Ben CB, like he knows how to play all the stacks really well: big stack, short stack, middle stack. And the thing is, what I've noticed is that when he's one of those shorter and middle stack players, he's still willing to get involved, where some players may err on the caution of being tighter, just because, well, I know I'm never going to get. If I get played back, I'm just going to give up. But Ben CB, he still gets involved and he understands what players are doing with certain stack depth. Just really is a master of all stack sizes, and that's why I think if he picked up some chips, he could really gain some momentum and take this tournament down. And I opted to pick him.
We just saw Rune F actually getting a walk on this big blind with the 10-5 offsuit. That is not something we see very often at these final tables here, the high roller super millions. But it is a great feeling, especially when you do have 10-5. New round, as we didn't have a lot of action in the previous one. A couple of decent hands here. Our chip leader picks up Queen Jack. As a chip leader, you may be pretty tempted to open here. Then we've got one of our shorter stacks with ace-10 offsuit. We've got pocket tens at the bottom as well for David.
Well, I'm not sure what I was going to say. I'm not sure what Christopher Brewer could do, because he could consider jamming because the chip leader has been opening. But I like the fold. There's a lot of people behind him. I would like to see David probably just jamming this hand because, yeah, you got 25 big blinds. But what you want to, some players, if you're a recreational player, you might just call the pocket tens like, oh, 25 big blinds, maybe too much to chip it in. I don't want to accidentally bust. But by calling, you let your opponent maybe take it away from you. The thing is, with those hands like tens and nines and like ace queen, you just got to ship it in against chip leaders and just be like, please don't have it. The thing is, it sucks when you bust out sometimes, but you still have a chance to win when you get called, of course, right? You're flipping against ace king. But the point is, you want to take down the chips, and the chip leader is the one that's opening the pot a lot more often.
Well, I do know someone who's going to open up the pot here, and that's our man, Christopher Brewer. He's been active over at GGPoker. He's been playing at the VIP table. This time he wakes up with aces, and this second shortest stack at the final table is just opening here, Randy. The two big blinds. Is that stronger than a shove? Because I almost think it is.
It's very, very strong, of course. But, the important thing is if you're making these min raises in early position with this stack depth, you need to be doing it with some other hands, like maybe king, queen offsuit, to kind of be a little bit balanced. But is it going to get Chris to call? It is going to bait Chris to call the jack nine. So he picked up an extra big blind that he wouldn't have got otherwise.
True. I actually like the call from Chris Fitzgerald as well, though. You're closing the action, jack nine suited. It's a hand that can flop somewhat decently. This time, not so much. Not really much going on, especially not when it comes down to the club department. So Christopher will most likely just take this down. That is such a small bet. Like, just have something. Please call me one more time. I want to get some value out of my aces. Well, picked up the extra big blind. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, so Christopher Brewer, he's going to have to get at least 6th place to make up that 100K buy-in. I saw him lose at that cash game the other day. But I'm sure he'll be back. I'm sure he'll be back for sure. He's basically like, let me spin up my role here in this 10K Super Minutes. We see Ben CB limping the A7 suited into hijack, and he's going to get a free limp because, it's always scary when you limp like hands you want to see flops with, and they're like, please don't raise, and no one raises. So it's good to see.
We've got the ace of spades roll off on the turn. That's, of course, an excellent card for Ben CB. Our chip leader, who was in the big blind, really has absolutely nothing going for himself with the ace deuce offsuit. That's an interesting check on the turn by Ben CB. What do you make of that, Nana?
I think the check is good because the thing is, you really aren't going to get called by worse ever on this board. There's no flush draws. You would expect a straight draw to probably just bet out you at some point anyways. I think checking is best. You should contain the pot. You don't let someone maybe make a check raise on you, try to represent that 6. Maybe they catch a king or queen or something. Played pretty optimally post-flop.
Well, Ben CB takes it down, and his stack just keeps on growing. Didn't really win any monster pot yet, but this is definitely the way you want to start off a final table. A couple of small pots feel fantastic. We've got Chris Fitzgerald opening up here with the ace-9 offsuit on the button, and we'll most likely just get it through. I highly doubt that Christopher is going to get fancy here with a 7-4 offsuit. He's like, I don't want to be a pushover here on the big blind, but some hands, Nano, if you're short stack, this is not much you can do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So Roger's going to get the king jack. Like to see him play this hand. It's been a little bit quiet since the ace king fold, but chip leader ace 8 suited. Curious to see what he does here.
It's actually just going to call. And Arthur will most likely tag along for the right, closing out the action with 7s. And he's going to be like, all right, please give me a 7 one time. I have no idea how to... Whoa, he's going to ship it. All right.
I like this play. I like this play a lot because the thing is the chip leader probably is going to re-raise a good hand, right? They're the guys that they're not really slow playing, aces and kings and stuff. So he's going to fold a lot as long as he gets through Roger. If Arthur knows that Roger folded ace king, then this shove is really good because Roger really isn't going to be calling with much hands, but still going to open with that stack size in that position. So really well done with the 7s there. And that's the thing. Some players like to just call like, oh, maybe Ami will bust soon. But, Archer is going to shoot those 625Ks by folding. I'll tell you that.
I love to see it. That was a big one for Arthur. Now suddenly increases his stack again above 2 million. That's pretty similar to what he started this final table with. Still a bit down, but not too much. Our man Chris Fitzgerald is picking up the 10s after Ben CB opened up one more time with the ace-6. No 3-bet with the 10s, just a call. What do you make of that, Nana?
Yeah, I mean, this is in line with how Chris Fitzgerald kind of plays. He's a little bit more passive in some stuff, but I think it's pretty good because he's not really looking. Okay, you got the chip lead to squeeze, so that's the problem. When you just call, you do show weakness, and Chris did lose some chips to the chip leader earlier.
Shove it. Come on, Chris. This is your moment. Like, he took you down 2 rounds in a row. This is where you take a stance and say no more.
I would like to see him make that play. I don't think he was going to, but he does flop best here. And, the chip leader, he might take a stab here. He's just trying to think, what does Chris Gerald call here with? And there's a lot of better hands that would actually fold this flop. Ace, queen, ace, jack would make a lot of sense. So he is going to fire a very small bet. Going to get Chris to call. But Chris is probably thinking like, please just shut down the turn or give me a 10 because I don't want you to put me all in by the river card in this situation.
Well, the 8 on the turn is a pretty safe card. Obviously, a 6-7 would get there, but it's just incredibly unlikely with the way that this hand is played out. We do have 2 flush draws at the board at this point. That's something you could potentially be a little concerned about as well if you are Chris Fitzgerald. What is a chip leader going to do? Is he going to fire big or is he going to check? I do almost feel that checking is giving up, isn't it?
Yeah, checking is that. Wow, another bet here. Just king. He doesn't have anything, and this is a very scary bet. But when you bet really small, you are going to invite some ace queen high type hands to continue calling. So there's more hands that you can get to fold on the turn. Chris is in a really nasty spot because when you see this bet on the turn, you're probably thinking, man, that river shove is coming, isn't it? And if Chris does make a correct call on the ace on the river.
That card is so scary to me. Like, if I'm Chris Fitzgerald right now, I am disgusted to see that ace.
It's just tough also for the chip leader here to consider shoving because he's thinking, man, my opponent could have like an ace X of clubs, an ace X of diamonds, like ace queen, right? He could have pocket 9s, which makes a lot of sense pre-flop and flop and turn. He could have pocket 8s. There's a lot of hands he could have, and if he's getting slow played and he loses 2 more million chips here, this could be a disaster. So I would love to see him make the play. He's just trying to think what hands would fold to a river shove here. And the thing is, the chip leader wouldn't shove here if he had queens and jacks, right? Or kings on this river card. So his value range has gone down a lot. Does give up.
Yep. Does give up. Does not pull the trigger there. And it's going to be a little sad to see that he didn't, because it would have been a tough call for the 10s. Don't forget that Ben CB is the one who started all of this, right? He's the one who opened the pot with the ace-6. And then Chris Fitzgerald just called. That was one hell of a hand, and we've got a new captain at this final table now. Chris Fitzgerald is now our chip leader with almost 6 million chips, and he's going to make some noise immediately. Queen Jack, he's going to open it up in the next round. People love going on heaters, don't they?
Well, hey, I was saying, Chris, he came into the final table in second place. He's going to be a different player because, as you can see, at this final table, he's been much more aggressive. Right? He check raised that. Well, look at this 3-bet for ruin F Queen 8 offsuit. He's like, okay, you guys are trying to be on a heater. Very big play from
Oh,
again. Yeah, that's very cool. But I want to point out that Chris Fitzgerald, he's going to be a different player today, right? We saw those tens. You know, he was very passive that last final table, but this one he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make my stance, call down here, and just not give it up." And Chris is like, "All right, let me make another play." And we've seen some hands now. We've seen some pretty
yep.
cool post flop hands.
There was a final table, guys. I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago where we legitimately did not really see any proper post-flop play for, I think, the first 25 minutes. It was just a shoving festival. People were knocking each other out. I do know this is the 9th week that we've done the final table of the High Roller Super Millions. It has definitely never happened that we have watched 24 minutes of poker and nobody busted. This is a first, Nano. This is a new record. And we're going to keep this in mind because I know that this has never happened before.
Yeah, definitely for sure. We're gonna see David probably open. I'm curious to see what Ben CB does with the Queen Jack suited. Is he gonna call? Is he gonna 3-bet? Is he gonna fold? I'm not really sure what he's gonna do, but it's always good to see the people you really respect make plays, and you're like, okay, now I know what to do.
Yeah, David hasn't played too many hands yet. I think this is only the second pot that he's really getting involved with. And Ben CB will actually lay it down, does not want to play the hand out of position. And unfortunately for Ami, Barrer, our shortest stack at the final table, can't make any plays with that hand, so he's going to have to give it up one more time. He is incredibly short right now, by the way, Nano. He's currently sitting at 6 points something, big blinds, 7 big blinds. But to be fair to him, he's literally not getting anything other than the eights, which he had much earlier, right? He did have the pocket eights, but besides the eights, he really hasn't gotten a playable hand.
Yep. Rowan F's actually been pretty active with some very marginal hands. Goes with the ace-3 offsuit, gets it done, and he's just he's a grinder, man. He's a big crusher. He just chips stack just keeps going up, but slowly and surely, and it makes sense based on how he's been playing.
Let's see what Arthur does here in an early position with the king 10. He's going to fold that as well. Rowan F is probably just going to open up one more time. This time he actually has a legitimate hand, the ace-queen offsuit. And maybe our chip leader will tag along for the ride, but playing these weak aces offsuit as well. I actually wonder what he does here, because I hate to be in these kind of spots. It's like, well, you do have an ace at the big blind, but it's such a weak ace.
I mean,
it's like one of the worst aces. Wow, he 3-bets.
just
Okay.
3-bets the a6 offsuit. Nice. And the thing is, these two guys have been 3-betting some really garbage hands at each other, right? And I don't know if Ruin F's going to let go to ace queen, because he knows the chip leader is the type of guy who can make some plays at him, because he's also got a big stack. Does make the call, and both players don't flop anything,
which could be in favor of Chris Fitzgerald, of course, who did go for the 3-bet pre-flop. Could just continue here, and then suddenly your ace queen is not looking all that fine anymore. It is a relatively small bet. I think around 33% of the pot.
Yep, you want to be betting small in these 8-4-3. The stack to pot ratio is smaller in 3-bet pots, so that means you don't have to put bigger bets out to get all the chips in general. So smaller bets do work better on dry boards. Does get called, and really the jack of spades is just a bad card for both players. It's just like it doesn't help me at all.
It's not bad for the guy who plans to be very aggressive in this spot, Nano. He can represent all the cards. And Chris Fitzgerald is not going to slow down. He's going to fire.
He's a new man. He's a new man, isn't he?
You have changed him, Nano. That's what it is.
Yeah, I gave him a lot of flack last round, but this is very cool to see Chris Fisher. I knew he was capable of all these really strong plays, and this looks really strong. But I don't know if Ruin F can continue with ace queen. He does make the incorrect fold, but I don't blame him given the board texture. Very well done.
So the rich get richer, as Chris Fitzgerald now is above 7 million chips, puts himself in a prime position to really start dominating this final table. One hell of a start for him so far. Came in as second, of course, as that position. It was an interesting dynamic as well, with the 3 biggest stacks initially all being at the top side of the final table here. Roger came in as third, Chris Fitzgerald came in as second, and then Brewer was our chip leader. Bureau. We need to work on our French, Nano.
Yeah, I've been just calling him a chip leader. I know I'm going to butcher it so bad.
We can just call him Beer. You know,
Beer.
the start of his name means beer in Dutch. Beer.
Okay. Yeah, so beer. Probably loves beer. That's my guess on the screen name. Looks like we got a 650K pot going on between these two guys.
Chris Fitzgerald does have second pair, and Beer doesn't really have anything.
Yeah, Chris. I think he opened the small blind, just trying to put the pressure as a chip leader. Is going to just keep checking, and I like to check because with the Queen 5 offsuit, it's very hard to get called by worse. You pot control a bit. It's going to make Beer think about betting though, because when Chris checks to you twice, it really doesn't look like he's got something that could continue. Although he does in this spot, is going to be a bet. And, you know, Chris has been playing very passively. He knows his hand looks like an ace-X type hand that just really would usually give up. So he should be continuing here. It is a very big bet, though.
Love the bet. Love the call by Chris Fitzgerald. I've done a little research, Nano. I think it's like Biru.
Biru.
That's what Google is telling me, but I'm sure that I'm still completely butchering the pronunciation. But I have tried to translate it as well. Says it doesn't really mean anything, so we'll figure it out eventually, guys. But Biru, it is.
Yeah, well, Biru here is he's thinking about bluffing that the chip leader isn't going to, and Chris Fitzgerald's been beating up on Biru really hard, actually, out of position. So very big flip flop in chip stacks.
Well, he lost earlier on. He lost 2 pots. First was small blind against big blind, I think, and then button against small blind. We had one as well. But after that, he has absolutely been dominating. Of course, it does help when you have more chips to play with. Our Russian player is going to make some noise here from a very early position under the gun. Ace-4 suited. And yeah, our chip leader, Biru, has been having a very tough time so far at this final table. Came in first as chips, now is below the 3 million mark.
Yeah, I think at that point you usually just kind of like calm down a bit, like, okay, let me just chill out. Don't make any more plays, because most of the chips he's lost has actually been bluffing it off, based on what I've seen so far. Ami Bear picks up the ace-deuce suited, 5.5 big blinds. Is this the hand he goes with?
He's been incredibly patient, but like I said, he really didn't have anything to really go with either, other than the 8s earlier. Queen 10 is actually going to make the call here relatively quick as well. Didn't even think about it. Queen 10 versus ace-deuce. That is not a bad flop for the ace-deuce suited. Still in the lead. Will we still keep our final 9 alive? The answer is yes. No, we're not losing anyone tonight. I am loving this.
Yeah, no one's dying. You know, Ami Bear and Christopher Brewer actually have like almost the same chip stack they came to this final table at. Just that we just have everyone else shuffle some chips over to Christopher Fitzgerald. There's the
oh no!
One jack is gone. We can see that. I didn't see a 10 dead yet.
But Ace King. No, Ace King for our previous chip leader as well, Biru.
This is a big
going to make the reshove, and what will Ben CB do right now with the jacks?
This is tough. A nice fold from the jacks. I think it's an ICM correct fold. He should have folded based on the hands he's up against, but sometimes those kings are flop, and that's the sign of a very strong ICM player. Ben CB makes the fold with the jacks. No 10's going to get there.
Saves himself a lot of chips there, and we finally lose our first play here at the 9th edition of the High Rollers Super Millions. Played over at GGPoker. Ami just had a double up, could not get the back-to-back double ups. 10s are not going to beat the jacks there. That's great news for our initial chip leader, who's now a little closer again to the amount of chips that he brought to the final table, 4.2 million. And everybody makes a pay jump. Ami will still walk away with $42,000. It was cool to see him play. Could have maybe made something happen with the 8s, but I think that was a very tough spot. Love to see him again.
Yeah, didn't really see too much from him, but yeah, it happens. And now we got Chris Fitzgerald against Ruin. These are the two guys that actually been across the table from each other, but have been battling pretty hard, actually. Flop the second nut flush, goes for the check call slow play. This might calm down for Chris, though. The eight's like he really does improve your big blind opponent a lot, like 7-8 type hands. Eight. There's just so many eights that could improve. You might go for the bet check back river because there's a lot of hands that would check call the flop and check fold the turn to have a lot of equity, like the ace-7 offsuits, the queen jacks, the jack tens. So there's the bet.
10 on the river. Obviously, 7 would make the straight here. No, actually, that's not true. A 7-6 would. A jack queen would as well, but that's not going to happen. It will go check on the river. So Runa is obviously going to take it down, but I feel like could have maybe gotten a little more out of that king high flush, no?
Yeah, he could have opted to go for the check raise. The thing is, when you go for a check raise with such a strong hand, your opponent might folds. It's just really tough because I don't think Chris Fitzgerald he's probably expecting Chris to just call him down with a pair of nines on his board, run out, buy the river card. So I think I like the way he played it.
All right, well, Chris Fitzgerald does finally get familiar with the feeling of defeat and losing a pot again because it's been a little while. He's going to open up the ace-8 here and he's going to take it down immediately. He's like, I don't like this feeling. Let me get back into the winning column. Chris Fitzgerald is indeed a brand new man tonight, Nano.
Mm-hmm.
Look
He's
at this,
playing
openings.
Yeah. 10-7 suited under the gun. This is how he should be playing. And I knew this guy was maybe that day he was just like, I don't really feel like making crazy plays yet. But yeah, I remember he was very solid, right? And tight. And then he just made some crazy all-in play in that previous one. But now he's got what it takes to really ship it. He's got the skill set. We got Artur here opening. David Misakowski probably going to reshove the pocket nines, I imagine. What do you think?
I'm actually not sure. That would be a big shove. And don't forget, we still have a short stack, but he is going to do it. So you were right, Nano, as always. Oh my goodness. Roger is going to be forced to fold the queen 10. Roger has not been able to really make a lot of plays yet either. Maybe the ace king earlier, but that's about it. And what is Artur going to do right now with his ace queen offsuit?
This is a tough hand because he knows that David probably will shove these nines, tens, and jacks, but also will shove ace kings and queens this way probably. I'm not sure what Artur will do, but I would say this is as tough as it gets for him. I would imagine.
I think he's going to call.
He might call. I'm going to guess you're supposed to fold, but it'd probably be really close. I don't know the answer, but it's as you can see, he's using his time bank. He's thinking about it too. He's not really sure. There is a guy, Christopher Brewer, coming up to them big blind, 10 big blinds. I don't know, but we know Artur goes for wins, right? He's won 625K high rollers.
That's why I think he's going to call. I feel like if you win these big tournaments that often, then you are probably, you're not playing to ladder at these final tables. He's probably trying to take it all down. He's going to analyze it, and he does make the call. He is flipping. Don't forget that Roger did fold a queen, and so far Artur needs help. King is not going to be any help. Tournament lives on the line. Artur was the smallest stack. Needs an ace or queen. Gets the ace on the river. The Roddy blessing, my pick stays alive. Oh my goodness. And Runev also folded an ace, by the way. Didn't even really notice that part. So 2 of his outs were gone. Still gets there on the river, Nano. Beautiful game.
Yeah, it sucks for David Misakowski, who just really has been playing pretty solid poker. Benjamin Roll, Ben CB's got pocket eights here. I don't think he's going to reshove this hand, because David Misakowski is coming in the big blind, is super short. I think the right play is probably just to fold outright, but Ben CB, yeah, he is going to make the play. This is just a very strong final table type player. I like the fold. Yes, he was ahead here, but at final tables, you got to be careful when there's guys that are super short, because let's just say you make a big play, like he reshoves there, pocket aces or pocket kings calls you, you're out before 2 guys that probably would have been out before you. You miss out on some big pay jumps. You go from like 60 to 70K to 100K, almost close to guarantee, You know
what I've noticed? That every single time somebody wins a big pot at this final table, next hand, they open immediately. Under the gun, early position, under the gun +1, doesn't matter. This keeps on happening. This has really been a trend at this final table. Artur did not disappoint. He continued that trend, and he's going to take down the pot with his 6s. He's probably going to be more than happy with that.
Yeah. So even like you said, that's a nice shove. You just want to shove on those short stacks because they got to play right. But Artur, you said you predicted he's going to make the call to ace queen, and that's got to be the dream for David, right? You're picking up the little pair, right? When you're four big blinds right
Yeah.
before the big blind. But I was going to say,
I
Archer,
don't.
he goes for the win.
You say it's the dream. I think it's the nightmare. You just lose a 1.7 million pot, or 3.4 actually, and now you get kings. You're like, yeah, great, man. And now you're probably going to spike a 3 as well, right? They both have a heart actually in their hand, so just 2 outs.
Looks like
And
he's
could
back.
ace.
Is he back?
That could
No,
a deuce or a 3, right? Yeah, okay, it's a deuce. Well, 700,000 chips. I still call it a nightmare. I'm sorry. I still get pissed when these kind of things happen to me. I was like, oh, come on.
You're just like, please end me now. Just end me.
Yeah. I'm already dead. Just finish it, you know. No, it's nice. I mean, he is somewhat close to chips when it comes to Christopher Brewer's stack, right? Christopher Brewer only has like 2 big blinds more than David. The Jack-7, is he going to shove? Yes, he is. Arthur is not a merciful god.
I like the way Archer, like, he's really just playing like someone who just wants to ship tournaments. Like he's a bit fearless, and I'm not surprised from someone who ships 625Ks. You know, if it said like, yeah, he's final table 25K 6 times, got like a 7th, 8th, 9th, 2nd. Then I'm like, okay, this guy's an ICM, really strong, like a solid player. But now this guy, he really goes for it. Beirut finally got some chips back, right? He's going to open up the ace-6 suited. Has been pretty active, but he's going to open up Chris ace-9.
Yep. Wow, it's going to fold the ace-9 with, what is that, 7 big blinds?
I think it's fine because it's just, he's going to get called almost always. Don't want to force an all-in. I like this, though. Archer playing really good.
King-9 suited off the button. He's going to put in the 3-bet. What is our once upon a time chip leader going to do here? Beirut. We need a French guy at this final table, that's for sure.
Okay, Elke, please commentate for us. Just say his name only, right?
Elke's like, what the hell? What the hell? You guys are so sick fishes. Why can't you speak French? It's Beirut. I was like, what?
Oh,
we tried.
Two short stacks are going to get it all in. It's the ace, king, and the 2 9s, and they're just going to combine into one stack.
That's actually kind of funny. Indeed, ace king is obviously a no-brain all in here if you're the shortest stack at the table. And David is going to make the call with the 9s.
You got to call here because Chris is going to shove worse pairs. Here we go, all in.
Can the 9s hold? Oh, well, they can make a set. So,
there's a chance.
The 10, 4 outs. Christopher needs a 10 and a 10 only. That could be a 10. That could be a 10. Oh my God, it's a 10. It's a 10, right? It's a 10. No, it's 8.
You can't count pips. You can't count pips.
I just saw a lot of pips, okay? At that point, I closed my eyes. I'm like, oh. No, I actually use the different cards when I play at GG. I use the 4-color card.
But you don't get the same effect on sweating, I assume. It doesn't. Does it have the pips on the?
Well,
on
no,
the
it does have the flush thing. You know, it's really exciting because when I need like a blue card, like if I need a diamond or a club, then it's like make it blue, and then after 0.1 second, you already know it. So that's my sweat.
But the true degen sweating needs the classic card so you can count the pips. So when you squeeze properly, okay, you gotta fold it from the side part way, then you fold it back, and then you fold it from the other side part way, and then you just like it's a super sweat. But you're like, you know what? Just get the color. Oh, one little peek, I know what it is.
No, but there's still obviously a sweat as well because you see like a part of the number, right? And the 6 and the 5, because sometimes you just see like the little circle in the bottom right if you use the traditional 4-color. So there is definitely some sweats. Like obviously you'll see like a 7 is very different than an 7 and an 8 is actually something close. So there's different kinds of sweats, but it's still very exciting. I can guarantee you that. We do have an all-in scenario here. Our shortest stack at the table is going to shove the ace-5 suited, still ahead, makes the flush. Ooh. Well, wrap it up. Doubles up.
Whap. Come on, you got it in bad, Chris, but only for 2 big blinds.
Oh, we haven't even spoken about this yet. Of course, we'll take a look at the hands. Is there anything crazy happening this round? Nothing too interesting.
Go for it. What is it?
The snap can. No, the snap can. I have never had this much fun with strangers playing online poker. Okay, I can't even put it in words how much fun I've been having. But when I'm battling it out in Omaha with one guy, every time I take a pot, I record a little 15-second video. For the people who have no idea what I'm talking about, the GGPoker introduced a new feature called the Snapcam. It's basically just right next to your chip stack, little green button, and you can record quick 10 to 15 seconds clips. So whenever you win a pot, you can just record it, and then you can dance in the camera. You'll be like, ha, 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 and then you send it. And not everyone does it. Some people have been doing it back to me, and that's really fun, right? Because suddenly you see a face behind the username. But even if people don't do it, they do respond with emojis, you know? So when I make like a little dance, they respond with the whop or like the so sick or tilt, bad beat. I've been having a lot of fun. It's honestly the most fun I've had playing online poker. It's a really cool element.
Yeah, it's actually an element which you never expect a site to make. You're just who would ever even think of that idea? Whoever, hands down, hands up, like clap all around for the guy who invented that. But it's just really cool. Like, you know, we have almost all computers have like the webcams built in, right? Laptops these days, and like make this feature. How do we make poker fun again? Somehow GGPoker has done it with his emojis, and then they stepped it up with the Snapcam, right? Like, because anyone can do it. Of course, if you don't like what you see, you can just block them, no big deal.
Yep.
But I just don't know how they came up with the idea to make poker fun again, and somehow, yeah, there's such cool features.
As we've got ace queen battling it out here against 3-5 suited. Neither player having much. Ben's to be will most likely just take this down with the ace high. You know what's really cool about it as well is that I feel like you can actually put kind of people on tilt without like using foul language. No, but like I was duking it out with an Estonian dude in Omaha, and I took down a couple pots, and I started making little videos, and he was playing for a while, and his VPIP was like 27, 28%, right? As we have Christopher all in here, by the way, with ace queen gets called by Arthur with the ace 9. We'll finish the story soon. Can Christopher get another double up? Don't forget about Lucas Greenwood last week. He won it off 4 big blinds.
Looks like we should get a double up.
We could chop it.
Chop it. This sucks for Christopher Brewer. But yeah, go on with your story. Tell me.
So I feel like this Estonian dude, I think he had like 28, 29% VPIP. After I sent a couple of videos, after I took down a couple pots in a row, he got involved in every pot. And at one point, it was like above 48, I think 51 at one point. I was like, oh my God, this dude is hating me right now. I was like, I'm having so much fun. I am loving the Snapcam. Honestly, I'm truly loving it.
It really is a cool feature. I'd love to see some of these guys do the snap cam so we can see that feature for you. Hopefully someone heard it and it's going to snap cam. But hey, I want to see those. You know what? What about those 501k games that Limitless plays? Maybe he should do those snap cams after he cracks some kings or something. Who knows?
After watching him on the podcast, or at least the little interview that he did with Joey just the other day, I have the feeling that he would absolutely love it, especially because he's talking about drinking a bottle of wine, you know, like taking pots down while taking a sip. Like, I think Limitless would love it. And I think literally every online poker fan would love to see it. It'd be sick. It's going to explode now. I'll guarantee you. This is going to be a real thing. People are going to have so much fun with it. Right now, it's kind of new. We still need to fine tune, I think, some settings, right? Because sometimes the audio is a bit messed up and stuff like that. But it's cool. I have no idea how this took so long. Like you say, it's genius. Like it is genius because we only now have it, but I feel like we should have had it a long time ago. Anyways, let's go back to poker here at the final table at the High Roller Super Millions. Maybe we'll see some snap cams, maybe not. What we do have is another all-in for our shortest stack at the table. But ace-10 versus ace-10. He does have one of the suits dominated now. No? He's a small favorite.
Yeah, it's a very slight favorite. Or is it? Who knows? Should be. Christopher Brewer just keeps getting in with a really tiny stack, but can never get out of the tournament or double up, really. It looks like is going to get another chop up. So he's chipping up really slowly for those antes in small blinds and big blinds.
Yeah, I mean, it is still a win. It's not much, but it's something. When you are working with 4.5 big blinds, you're kind of okay with every little victory you can get. Arthur is going to pick up eights here in the early position. And we have our chip leader with ace queen on the big blind.
Yeah, I think Chris could easily just call this. He could re-raise it. I can really see it go either way. You know, it's not like ace king where like, oh, I'm happy to get in. He is going to go for the 3-bet option, and Arthur in a tough spot with 2 8s. I'm not sure what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But Arthur's the type of guy who's been kind of going for it, right? He is going to make the fold. And I don't blame him just because he's in second place. And we know Chris can put multiple barrels in. It's just going to be tough if you don't flop a set. Seems fine.
David might get adventurous here, right, with ace-10. But obviously it is a hard spot because Christopher is still so short. But, you know, normally ace-10, 11, 12 big blinds, everybody folds to you. What would you like to see, Nano?
I like to see a fold personally. He is going to make the shove, just go for those extra chips. But I don't mind the fold because Chris is just way too short. He's going to hit the big blind next. I don't know what like the correct play would be, an ICMizer or whatever. But definitely you can see that Dave is like, you know, I still want to put myself in a spot to maybe ship this tournament down the road. We'll see what Roger does of his ace-10.
Poor Roger is an ice cube. Really has not been very fortunate at his final table so far.
Yeah, he hasn't had much going for him. He is going to go for the min raise just in case one of the big stacks does wake up with a hand. And Chris has got 10-7 offsuit. I think he should defend this hand.
Yeah.
He just he doesn't have, when you have such a small stack, you can't really play it wrong post flop. As long as you flop a piece, you just go with it. Doesn't flop anything. As easy as it flop Roger, though, right? He just flops. Yeah. Okay, well, just go for it.
Flops the not flush draw. Obviously, a small bet is going to put Christopher all in. And what do you do here if you're Christopher? He's going to fold. So he is left with 2 big blinds, I believe, at this point. Well, make it less than that because he still has to pay the small blind as well. A blind and a half and a dream, Nano.
I think it's going to be Chris Brewer versus Arthur in this hand. It's going to be the Jack Deuce suited versus the King 7 offsuit. There we go.
Arthur will make the call. Christopher's going to be like, well, make it green. A lot of clubs would be good. That is not what Arthur... well, that is definitely what Arthur wants. It's not what Christopher needs. A Jack or a Deuce, or it is all over, and it is all over. So we are going to lose our second player here at the 9th final table of the High Roller Super Millions. Christopher will walk away with $64,000. 60. No, I can't watch. I can't read. 65 or 56, 65. One of those, guys. So the pay jumps are not as big as we have seen in previous weeks. At this point, it does get a bit bigger. Now it goes from 55 to basically 75. It is in the bottom left side of my screen, of course. And you guys can also see the chip count. We've got 5s raising from the button. David is going to shove the ace-6 suited.
Oh, and a big call from Arthur, pocket 5s, because David thought he got a lot of fold equity, but this is the wrong guy to be reached up. This guy goes for the wins. He needs an ace or a 6 to stay in this tournament. We're going to lose another player pretty soon.
A6 or a king. So plenty of outs for David.
That could be an ace. No, it's pips. It's dead.
Wow, just like that, we lose 2 players in a row. I was about to say, like, we're going to make it to the first break with 8 players alive here at the final table. And then we blink twice, and Arthur just took care of 2 players. And he's now second in chips, by the way. These spots are obviously a pretty big deal for Arthur as well. He said it a couple of times. The man has won 6 25K buy-in events over at GGPoker. Well, he's now on track to have an amazing score at the High Roller Super Millions.
You got to remember, Arthur, before he played on GGPoker, was already a big crusher on all the other online sites out there. So, you know, he's just a very... I think he... Did it say his GGPoker, he was like 6 point something million? I want to take a look. Let's see.
We've got a pretty interesting hand here with King Jack versus 10 Jack. Neither player flopping much. Roger has been stone cold so far this final table. Really has not been able to make a lot of things happen. And is actually going to make the fold here against the man who once upon a time was our chip leader. Is now 3rd in chips. Yes.
Yeah, so Arthur, yeah, he does have 6.6 million in GGPoker wins. This is actually his first Super Millions appearance. So he just been passing up this event. Was like, yeah, I only played 25Ks, you know. But he's like, yeah, and the first time, you know, whenever the first time you play, there's a lot of guys who first time play final table of this event. I feel like if you haven't played the 10K Super Millions yet, you should at least give it one shot because there's a good chance you'll just make it to the final table.
I love the way Arthur has been playing so far, man. He is clearly very aggressive. And like you said as well, a couple of times, I can only echo that sentiment. This is someone who plays to win. We've seen a lot of people trying to make those pay jumps, trying to survive those extra 2 spots, at least go for that 6-digit score. Always feels a bit better. Arthur does not, I'm sure he cares, but he's here to win it all. Doesn't have much in this hand, still has ace high. Let's see what Chris Fitzgerald is going to do here with his pair of sevens.
He does go for another bet for value. Doesn't get the call, but it's good to see. That's a very thin value bet given the board texture. Got it done. Still got 8 million chips. Ben CB's got the ace king. Should not get much action though.
I mean, no. Do you think he just shoves it here? He's kind of having a shoving stack at this point, right? No, he's going to raise.
I don't mind a raise. You do want to give your opponents the chance to maybe make a play if you have like an ace X suited or something.
At least going to take down the blinds. So that stack will grow a little bit. Feels weird. I feel like I was so used to our 9-man table. Okay, and then after a half an hour, we lost one player, but then we still had an 8-man table. Now all of a sudden, the final table feels empty. And it does feel like we're going to get a little less post-flop play, especially because we still have a couple of shorter stacks around. Chris Fitzgerald is above 8 million chips at this point. We've seen it before with Jesus, 20 big wheel 20 last week. I think at one point it was like 12 million chips, right? And he did not manage to bring it home. So it is definitely not a foregone conclusion yet. Well, guys, that's going to do it for the first hour here at the 9th edition. Final table coverage of the high roller Super Millions, of course, being played over at GGPoker. It took a long time before we lost our first player. Then we lost 2 players in the blink of an eye. We saw Ami walk away with $42,000. We saw Christopher Brewer walk away with $56,000. And then, of course, we saw David just bust there with the pair, I think. Ace-6. Walks away in 7th place with $75,000. We still have 6 players remaining. Nano is going to take a little break. I'm going to take a quick break as well. We hope you guys are enjoying the poker action so far. If you don't follow this channel yet on Twitch, what are you waiting for? This channel is awesome. There's a lot of cool content heading your way. Of course, right now, the World Series of Poker are currently being played over at GGPoker. There's a lot of cool coverage of some of those events. And of course, there's some dedicated streamers on the team of GG as well. Following is free. And as you guys have noticed, we do like to do giveaways on this channel as well. So if you are an ambitious, aspiring poker player, there is nothing lost to follow this channel. And as you guys like to say, it's massive plus EV to go for the Twitch follow. I'm going to take a quick break as well. We'll be back in 4 minutes to continue the coverage of the 9th edition of this final table. Alrighty, guys, we are back. The break is almost over. We're ready to continue our coverage of this final table, the 9th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. This tournament will be going on for quite some time. We once again have a record amount of entries for this one. It's a 10K buy-in, of course, 2 million guaranteed. We last week broke our record, or 2 weeks ago, actually. Last week we tied our record of 210 entries. This time we had 237 runners, and we are down to our final 6. We've got, of course, Chris Fitzgerald in the lead with a monstrous stack. We've seen this before. That doesn't really mean anything, as last week we truly had a real Cinderella story with Lucas Greenwood winning it all after being down to 4.5 big blinds at one point. Nano, my dad likes to watch these as well, and he was like, wow, did you see that? Can you believe it? This is why I always tell you, you're too aggressive. You play too many pots. I'm like, no, Dad, that's not how this works. I was like, sometimes it's just meant to be. He's like, no, you can win it from any position. I was like, yes, you can, but being aggressive is not a bad thing. That was truly epic, and I can't wait to see how today unfolds.
Yeah, well, that's cool that your dad likes to watch it. He's probably thinking, man, that Roddy, you gotta learn from that other commentator. He always knows the right answer, right? Not sure.
He definitely, he's been appreciating the content, and I hope that he's been taking notes. I've been sending him some funds as well over at GGPoker. My dad is doing worse than I am, Nano. It's not a good sign.
Hey, you know what? You need to teach him how to use a snap cam, and then he's going to have a good time over on.
No, because then they're always going to call him. Unless he raises big, because then they know it. It's like, all right, old man coffee over here. I was like, Dad, don't use the snap cam. Let him think that you're some online crusher,
Old man coffee. Okay, so back to the action. So like you recapped a bit, and Chris, he came into the final table second place, playing really well. I would say that him and Arthur have been playing very impressively at the final table. I see him. Ben CB has been playing pretty good. It's really some solid plays. Ruin's been playing pretty good too, in my opinion. Beeru, he's actually was the chip leader. He was really attacking Chris, lost a lot of chips, but has still been a bit active. Roger's been pretty tight, but has laddered up a bit a few times, which is what you want to do when you're middling short stacks. He is near the short. He is the shortest right now, but he also has Ben CB, who's quite short too. But King Queen, I would like to see him play this one. Does he go for the reshove or just call? He just call. I think either play is fine, but with his stack size, it does make sense that someone probably would call his shove. So playing it passively does make a lot of sense.
Most of the action here will probably come out of Arthur and Rune F. As Arthur picks up top pair. Not often will you say you pick up top pair with a 5, but on this board you do. Of course, got the gut shot as well with his ace. Meanwhile, Rune F has the flush draw, the second not flush draw. We'll probably tag along for the ride at least one time.
You got position with the king queen, so you just want to call. You still have two people to act, so raising is just kind of blowing up the pot for no reason. Plus, there's a guy who's got 10 big blinds. You don't really want to bust. Calling is definitely best. And sometimes the king or queen comes. That's a good card for someone to multi-barrel on and, pick up some chips. Definitely optimal to call in position with this stack depth.
Arthur is going to slow down on the turn here. He is going to check. Let's see what Rune F decides to do. Will he turn his hand into...
Yeah. The thing is, you do have a lot of equity with the king queen suits. It doesn't make a lot of sense to bluff, but the truth is betting doesn't do too much, in my opinion, because when someone bets into a four-way flop on this board in the 8 turns, it doesn't really seem like they're ever going to fold the turn. If they have 6s, 7s, 7-8 type hand, they're just never going to fold. So I think the check by king queen suit is very good. I think a lot of people would just bet because they think they got 2 overcards, a flush draw, and see weakness. But I think the check was the right play on the turn.
Well, Arthur made 2 pair on the river. He's going to feel a lot more confident about his hand right now. Obviously not too worried about a 3. And we'll never get called here. Runev is like, how quick do I fold?
I mean, he's thinking about maybe calling this hand, it looks like. He's just thinking, I mean, he's tanking, right?
This was a 4-way pot.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that definitely need to be folding. He just thought about it. He's like, why are you betting that ace? What do you got? But good fold, because sometimes, when you're like a really good player and sometimes your wheels start spinning, like I can find a way to win this hand, and you call, you're like, oh crap, I should have just folded.
Yeah. Nobody likes to give up because you don't win pots by giving up. But at that point, that just wasn't meant to be. Ben CB picks up the ace jack offsuit here on the button. He's going to go for the raise. Chris Fitzgerald with a weak ace offsuit.
Chris might reshove this hand. Oh, he's just gonna call. So I was gonna say he might reshove because he's seen Ben CB open a bit more because I know they're watching the stream. So he does just call. It looks like they both want to show this one down based on the board texture.
Yep, no action on the flop and the board pairs on the turn. Ben CB is going to fire out a very tiny bet, but it may just get the job done here because Chris Fitzgerald really...
I think Chris should maybe consider calling. He is just going to fold. I think that's fine. Just because it could have been a delayed c-bet, but no, I think the fold's good too. It's just it really is a close spot either way.
Man, I'm feeling bad for Roger. Roger really hasn't been getting much. He, of course, had that tough position early on when he had the ace-king and somebody made a massive shove with queens. I believe it was Ruin F. And after that, Roger really hasn't been getting anything. Picks up king-jack here.
Oh, no.
But,
he's in trouble because he should be shoving this hand, and Brewer is going to reshove the ace-jack, I'd imagine, or at least call. But it's been pretty tight. I would like to see him make this play because he will get a lot of respect. It's got a lot of fold equity.
Yep.
He really should be making this play, even though the ace-jack probably will look him up. There's a chance, though, the ace-jack just like, you know what? You've been pretty tight. I'll fold this hand. There is a chance, so I'm not saying 100% it's getting all in.
Roger is definitely thinking about it. He's like, is this the moment? Roger decides that this is the moment to go for it. 10 big blinds and some change. He's going to shove king-jack. And what will Brewer do with his ace-jack? Don't forget that you still have Arthur to worry about there as well, of course. He's just going to make the call. And Roger is going to see the bad news. He needs a king or some magical straights. And it's pretty much a king and a king only at this point.
Just give it to the guy. Just give it to him. I don't think that's it, though. That does not look like a picture card. GG.
Oh, GG for Roger. Very unfortunate run here at the final table for him. Hopefully still had a good time. It's fun to see him, of course, make a final table appearance. We'll walk away with $101,000, I believe it was. And we have Chris Fitzgerald, our chip leader, waking up with aces.
Well, it doesn't look like he'll get too much action right now. Might get a little bit. But, it's good to see Roger, recreational player who loves poker. There's a lot of guys who love poker that just get to this final table that don't play professionally. Did not really have much to show for it, but at least he got some pay jumps and, he's founder of the MCI events. So I'm sure he's doing really well. He doesn't need the money, right, from this tournament. He's here for the game.
Chris Fitzgerald is going to continue with his aces. Runev really doesn't have much. He's probably just going to give up here with his A10. Picked up a gut shot, but it's the bottom end as well. I'd be surprised to see him call here. Wow, okay.
Yeah, he's probably going to give it up, right, Roddy? Nah, you got for the check raise. I don't fault him for going for a check raise. Chip leaders tend to bet a lot. You got some equity. I think it's okay, but not like in love with it, of course. I would prefer it, though, if he had at least a spade in his hand. Therefore, he got like that a little bit extra equity. But well, it even sucks there too, right? Because like, say he just check called, he would have lost less chips, maybe hit his hand, but now he doesn't even get to see a turn card.
That is, of course, the big downside of going for plays like that. Brewer here with the king jack might open it up 5-handed, but we've got Arthur on the button with king queen, and we know that Arthur doesn't give up easily. The player with the highest VPIP at this final table is going to go for the 3-bet here off the button. And what will Brewer do?
King Jack doesn't play well, even against a guy who's 3-betting bluffing a lot. It just doesn't play that well. It's just always dominated usually. Sometimes you hit your hand, but you're not loving it too if people want more chips. I like the fold. And plus, you don't need to really make plays at a big stack who's aggressive when there's guys who's got 1/3 of your stack out there. Look, Chris. Chris is. I
He's
like this
making
Chris.
moves.
You know, like I did not like Chris that much last final table, but I like Chris a lot this final table. This one, he's very aggressive. You know, he can really change. You can swim me over on your side. I like Chris Fitzgerald. He's doing good.
I think the graphics at GGPoker also make you feel a bit better. When you've got the little flame around your VPIP, you're like, yeah, I'm on a roll. We're going to continue this heater. Let's keep this going. 3-bet everything. 9-6 doesn't really have anything, but neither does 9-7. Let's see if aggression pays off one more time. Is this the moment that Brewer is going to make a stance?
This is a bad spot to make a stance, I'll tell you that, because just not the good floor texture. You know, like, shouldn't be too much here, but what's exciting with the GG, you know, like, I'm excited to see what GGPoker, like, the software is going to be like in, like, 6 months or 1 year from now, right? Because, like, I didn't know much about the site, you know, like, not too long ago. And they just like, oh, Chris is just 3-betting. This is not going to get done. It's going to be 3-bet jam. But I want to continue that thought that they just, these cool features. I know we've been hyping up the snap cam a lot, but they didn't have the squeezing thing before. I think the squeezing is one of the coolest features there really is. It's even like you see it like when we get it all in, but if you're actually playing, you can squeeze, you can have your whole card squeezed too before you get dealt. Right. And there's just so many cool features. I just want to know what's next.
And don't forget about staking. I actually had my very first staking experience this week. I decided to play a couple events, like a little WSOP side event, because not all the events, of course, are big. If you want to play something smaller, there's plenty of smaller tournaments over at GGPoker. And since I was streaming my run as well, a couple of my viewers actually bought some of my actions. So this was incredibly exciting because they're watching me play the WSOP side event. And then at the same time, they're in for the sweat, right? So they were trying to cheer me on. It was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, Nano, I failed them. No cash, no bounties, nothing. Total disaster. But yeah, the built-in staking future is just awesome.
Yeah, I want to touch up on the staking a little bit but onto this hand real quick. It is blind versus blind. It is top pair. It is an overpair for Arthur, who actually went for the limp, and I think he's going to go for the check raise. And I don't know if Brewer and F can get away from this.
Yep, I am kind of worried as well, especially because Runef hasn't been running too hot over the last few hands. And then at one point, when you do finally make top pair, you're like, oh, come on. Do they really always have it? The guy with the highest VPIP at the table, at this point, he does. The queen may actually slow down the action a little bit, but I mean, the pot is almost bigger than what Runef has left.
I think the pot is too big for Arthur to slow down because Ruin F often has a 7 or a 6. If he hit the queen, so be it, but there's too much in there. You don't want to check and let your opponent get a free card with such a big pot, and you have such a good hand that could easily be the best hand. I would like to see Arthur continue betting here.
Well, Arthur is thinking about it, and he is just going to shove, rip it all in one more time. And Ruin F has a very, very tough decision to make. I actually think he's going to lay it down. I think he's going to take a little while. He's going to let the clock run down to like 10:50, and then he's going to fold.
But I'm not sure because, you know, this is a good card to continue bluffing on when someone check raises. You'll think, man, maybe they got like a 2 clubs, 8-9 with 10. There's a lot of hands that Ruin F beats, and there are a lot of hands that he loses to as well. I think he's going to burn a lot of time bank. I don't know what he's going to do, but you got to remember, you're up against Arthur. Clearly, he knows Arthur is a very aggressive player. It's hard to lay this down, right? If you're up against anyone else, maybe like, okay, I'm just this one, you don't know.
Well, there's the 10:50 that I predicted. He's going to take some more time, but 3 seconds after what I predicted. Now, one of my finer calls, I may say, and look at Arthur showing the 1-8. Just actually, one.
Showing the 8 is brutal because now you think you folded the best hand, right? Like, because you don't expect someone to have 2 8s. You expect them to have the 7-8 or like the 8-9, the 10. That was a perfect show from Arthur. Well done.
I love it. Just a 1-8.
Yeah. So remember, the staking feature is cool. I like that it's built into client because GGPoker's client automatically facilitates all the payouts and stuff like that. So there's no scamming or nothing, which happens on those other sites, and don't need a third party. It's just
Mhm.
really smart. It makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't you put the staking feature built into the client? And what I like to do personally, I like to browse the lobby and see who's selling action, right? Even because you see like high stakes players selling action at a markup, and they get action. I've seen people sell at a markup and sell like 50%, but I've seen guys put up action and get zero action sold. I'm just thinking like, okay, this guy is like, he's a fake, he's a fraud, right? Like, he's trying to sell action, but he can't get any.
I especially think for streamers, it's absolutely fantastic. It's like an incredible amount of fun, obviously, when your viewers are in the chat and they have a piece of your action. Obviously, I don't play the crazy events, but it was still a lot of fun. They were like cheering me on. And every time we took down a pot, even if it was 2 big blinds, everyone's like, yeah, let's go. And the cool thing as well is that if you're selling action, you actually get in your inbox as well. You get a little message of how much you sold and who bought your action too, so you actually know who believes in you, which is just excellent.
Yeah. No, I just think.
Uh-oh.
Do you think something's gonna happen? Oh, it is gonna
Uh-oh.
happen.
Yes.
Okay, Ben CB's all in for 2 8s. Snap call. Let's go. Ben CB needs that ace to stay in. And
he gets
finds
the
it.
ace. Wow, what a flop as well. Spade draw to 1-outer. He's got his opponent dead to 1-out on the river. And that is not going to be it. Almost a straight flush as well. Oh my goodness, I folded a straight flush yesterday in Omaha. I was so sad. Jackpot future. I love the jackpot future in the live games. And I was like, 6-6, 5-10. I was like, I'll let this one go. Of course, I would have made the straight flush.
Brutal. So Ben CB gets really lucky there on the button. Chris is gonna open the button. And whenever you see the guy, the 13 big blind guy shove the ace-5 and gets it in bad, you're always rooting for him to just bust, right? And you see him double, and everyone's all like, God damn it. And now Brewer is like, you know what? I'm just going to reshove myself. No one's going to bust. Let's just go crush this chip leader guy. But, chip leader's been opening a lot, and I like the way he's been playing. She's trying to chip up very slowly, which is what you should be doing.
I gotta say, I think Arthur is making the best impression on me. Of course, he got fortunate in 2 big spots, right? That could have gone the other way, and then he could have been eliminated. But I truly love the way that Arthur has been playing so far. I'm actually surprised that Rune's VPIP is as low as it is, because he feels like he's been pretty active, right? But I guess it's mostly been whenever he's been in the blinds and battling it out there. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like he's been inactive. It feels like we've been talking a lot about the hands. Maybe the hands that he does get involved in, he likes to make some noise, but he feels like a more active player than what the percentage is showing us.
Yeah, well, he is going to be involved in this one, going to check call the top pair. Probably going to check on a turn and let's play the river card. It doesn't really make too much sense for Brewer to continue betting here, but unless he wants to target the queen X's or the weak ace. If he bets here on the turn, though, I would like to see him bet on river, and I do think the check is proper. Ruin F. Might go for this check. I'm trying to think. Should he check or bet? There's not many bluffs he represents. He is going to bet, though.
It's a pretty big bet as well. I didn't expect it to be that big.
He's trying to represent like a King X offsuit that check called the flop, something like this. It doesn't make that much sense. So maybe that he can try to get some hero calls from his opponent. He does get it down, take it down. In this final table, these final 5 guys, it's kind of like a lot of these online crushers, right? That don't have much live performances at all. So, one of a different kind of final table that we've seen in some of the previous ones, we had some really big names that have done really well live. So, if you're some of the viewers that might not know these guys, those guys, Ruin F, Archer, and Benjamin CB, are like the biggest online tournament crushers out there. I don't know much about Brewer. I do know about Chris Fitzgerald because I've seen him multiple times, but I'm sure they're very accomplished players too. So, yeah, I just like to see like these big crushers that you hear about, but you don't really watch them play, right? Because you don't get the whole cards up. But that's the cool thing. I think GGPoker might have been one of the first sites to do the whole cards up. Now that I think about it.
And I'm gonna see it more and more, of course, because this is definitely a million times more fun than watching a final table where we don't really know what happens. Yeah, you'll see flops, and then every now and then you'll see a showdown, but that's about it.
No,
This
I
is
don't like watching
definitely
those. Like I've seen those,
no, yeah.
and I've commentated on some of those in the past where like it's whole
Mhm.
cards down. You're like really stretching to think about what to talk about. Like, and they don't even give
It's
you
a
a
lot of
player profile picture which you can talk
yeah.
about.
No, but it's a lot of theory crafting then. At least I think for someone like you, that is still interesting because there is a lot of speculating. You can do a lot of hand reading. But I definitely think, especially for a lot of casual viewers, that is just way less fun. And when it comes to learning from the best as well, it's like you can learn from watching those streams, but you learn a million times more by watching a stream like this where it's whole cards up. As we do have Ruin F picking up the pocket jacks here. Let's see if Chris Fitzgerald is going to call, and he will.
Nah, not much is going to happen here. But I want to give you a question, Roddy. Okay, you see
Mhm.
Arthur's avatar right now.
Yeah.
Is it the same guy that's in his profile picture? I can't tell. I don't think it is, but then again, maybe it's just a very different time of year. Can you take a look and make a compare and figure it out?
I highly doubt it, unless this was taken after he spent like, I don't know, a winter or two in Siberia and hang out with polar bears, and then he came back and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna be an online crusher. Slightly different lifestyle. But I do feel like it suits him. You know, when I see a Russian flag and I see a proper name like Arthur, I kind of like I look at that profile picture like that could be Arthur. Now
Uh,
the pre-show picture is a little different, probably not Arthur, but I actually looked at it as well and I was like, it suits him.
but it could be him, right? There's a chance. There is a chance. Like it was like
There's
10
always
years
a
ago or
chance.
something.
People live
Could be.
different lives, Nano.
That's right. That's right. So the last hand, Chris actually 3-bet the ace-4 offsuit against Arthur. Arthur jack-3 offsuit. Was he thinking naughty stuff too? This would be really nasty to 3-bet. I was gonna say, like, don't do that to Chris.
No, I can't stop looking at his portrait. I love it. And then I can just imagine him as well running a little poker club in Moscow. Welcome to my club, you know, cigar hanging out of his mouth. We've got Biru opening up here with ace queen offsuit from the button. Probably no action in this hand. 5-handed. I truly do feel that this is still anybody's game. Ben CB, for the first time, I think at the final table, is now above 3 million chips after that double up he just had. That's the most amount of chips Ben CB has had. So maybe there's some potential for him to make some more plays as well. Obviously,
Yeah.
when I start that sentence, he wakes up with 7 deuce on the big blind. But next hand, next hand.
I mean, you gotta remember Ben CB. He's been working a short stack. Actually, hasn't really been getting any hands. He did get fortunate of that ace-5 double up not too long ago, but like he was still relatively active for a guy who shouldn't have much action. There's 2 kings and ace-jack. I'm curious to see what he does here. I think Ben CB is either going to 3-bet fold or he's going to call. I don't think he would ever jam or fold outright though.
Jamming seems a bit
Excessive.
crazy. Yeah, it's just not needed. And if we analyze the way that Ben CB has not only been playing at this final table, but the majority of his final tables, when you watch him at other streams as well, but he is going to 3-bet here though, and he's going to get some bad nails because I think Biru is just going to ship it all in.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, can Biru ever just call here? I think shipping is fine. It does seem like his opponent is committed a lot of times that would like just, oh, it's only 1.5 million more. You'll call it off, right? And the thing is, with this stack depth, you just would never just call a 3-bet, I think. Yeah, you're saying?
No, this is a perfect moment, by the way, to use the Snapcam feature. When you take a while, and obviously you wait until the action is done because you don't want to give any tells. But you take a minute, and then somebody makes the call, then you record a little video immediately. And you're like, got you with the kings. Tough decision, mate.
Look at this, he's up against kings again.
Oh.
Ben CB going for another 3-bet. But will Arthur jam on it, or will he just call here?
That's a good question. I mean, we just saw Biru go for the jam. I didn't mind it. Arthur has a very loose image. So he probably thinks, like, if I just think about it for a while and then I jam, I'm pretty likely to get called because he has been the most active player at this final table.
Yeah, Archer's just trying to think how often Ben CB 3-bet bluffs here. It's clearly pretty often. But you know, sometimes you just gotta think, is this guy really gonna 3-bet fold twice in a row? And the answer was yes. So Ben CB, he made some plays with this
Yeah.
medium stack, and then okay, he's like, you know what? You know those ace five off that hand I got lucky on? I'm just gonna dust off those chips real quick and back to where I was.
I mean, that's just unlucky, right? You make 2 moves, 2 times you 3-bet. You're like, seems like a reasonable play. Twice your opponents wake up with kings. Can't really make that up. Both players pick up a 4 here. Chris Fitzgerald, of course, has the better kicker. I'm curious to see how this hand plays out, Nana.
Well, should go check call. I don't think this pot's gonna get too big because they both have showdown type hands on these board textures.
I think you underestimate my man Art here.
I mean, the thing is, he's going to think he's up against king queens and ace kings and stuff like that a lot. So he's going to want to show down to queen 4 as well. Chris, yeah, I just don't really see him. There's a chance someone wants to bet against ace high, but it seems quite thin in my opinion.
I actually think Arthur will bet here.
I mean, he might, but if he's going to bet pretty small. In terms of bluffs, he's more likely to bet because he can represent the 5x, the 8x. Yes, he is going to go for the value, but can you imagine going for the pair of 4 value and getting outkicked?
Unfortunate. So Artie did go for a little bet here. Ben CV with the deuces is going to fold them immediately under the gun. Brewer with a6 offsuit on the button. 3 interesting hands here as Arthur has pocket 4s in the small blind.
Just ship it in. Yeah, he's just like, you know what? You're not going to call. And Brewer has still been opening. Arthur is playing some good poker, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, really well done.
Is Brewer going to open again with 10 jack? Is Arthur going to ship it again with pocket 10s? Find out real soon here over at GGPoker official. Ship it. Rip it all in, my friend.
He might rip it. He might just 3-bet it, though. It is very strong, and you do want people to make some mistakes with, like, you know, 8s or 7s and rejam into you. People know you 3-bet bluff if they've been watching the stream, which they certainly have. I like to see the 3-bet. There we go.
Gets it through. At this point, Arthur, he is already the man on fire, the only player on fire at this final table at this point. And he is not slowing down. He's going to let this one go, though. Ben CB with the ace deuce.
Should be shoving that, and he is.
Obviously picking up a big blind here, and the antes and the small blind is very useful, even though the small blind was his own investment. Still nice to keep it. A shorter stack at the table. Jack 9 on the button is going for the small raise.
Yeah, this is you don't expect this from a short stack usually. But, you know, Ben CB, like I said, he plays his short stack and medium stack differently than a lot of players. But wow, Chris has got a good read. I think Chris Fitzgerald has realized that this Ben CB, he opens a lot given his stack depth, so he can make the plays with this ace rag. And he knows that Ben CB won't call off. Now, it doesn't mean Ben CB is making bad plays, just that you got to adjust your opponents, which is very important.
We've got that's a feisty flop. King 10 makes middling pair. And of course, a couple of backdoors as well. Arthur picks up the flush draw, gets the flush on the turn. Oh. Ben CB is running pretty rough over here, Nano.
This is bad news for Ben CB because Arthur can represent a lot of bluffs by betting here and can get a lot of hero calls down. And I think Arthur might go for all of it right here. And Ben CB could easily call him here and be incorrect.
I feel like if you call on the turn, it's very likely that you call on the river as well. I mean, of course, there is that jack to worry about, but very tough spot here for Ben CB.
Well, okay, you check back this flop. You don't look like you got a jack or better, right? You look like you always have a 10. The turn comes a heart. Your hand looks like an ace high type hand, like ace queen with 1 heart, ace king with 1 heart, you know, the 10 queen, the king 10, all these type of things. Basically, your hand looks weak and your opponent is shoving into you. It makes you kind of want to call because it's easy to bluff you off with the hand. Arthur can have a lot of draws, like even like the queen 9 offsuit, right? Like those types of hands would bet this turn and probably shove the river. I don't know if Ben CB can get away from this hand. He's also the shortest stack, so he knows he can't wait anyone else out as well. This is not looking too good for Ben CB.
It's a very tough spot. I'm with you. I'm afraid he's going to make the call here, and he would be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know how I can get away from this because of who he's up against, how he played the hand. It's just many factors.
I do feel the longer he's taking, the more likely it is that he's going to make the fold here, actually. Yep.
Oh, nice
well,
good
done.
Stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ben CB is going to be more than happy to see that he was right about that one. He's going to be not so happy with the fact that he is now down to 10 big blinds again. We just went over the fact that for the first time he was over 3 million chips, tried to make a couple plays, and his opponents literally always had kings. Now he's back to being the shortest stack at the table.
Yeah, he's still got a chance with those 9 big blinds now that the blinds have gone up. And Chris is open up to 10 deuce suited under the gun. the new Chris, man. That's what he needed. He just needed that little push from that last final table, and now he's here crushing.
Ben CB will make the call. Every big blind matters, of course, at this point for him. He's going to be forced to make the fold as he did not connect with the board. It's getting incredibly short. Might shove here. Yep. Well, that's going to be an easy shove.
Chris is going to call with the king 7. It's easily the best hand, but it's not in this case, but just barely.
Mm-hmm. So far, the ace deuce is still in the lead. Needs to avoid just a king or a 7. No additional outs for Chris Fitzgerald. There's going to be another jack, so Ben CB will stay alive. He's now back to 1.5 million chips.
I love how whenever someone gets all in, they always like to show that I had one of your cards. There's always someone that does it.
Afterwards, you're like, you lost and you deserved it because I had one of your kings.
Or like when someone has a 2-outer, right? And then they hit their 2-outer, but then like actually someone shows that he only had 1 out, like just to rub the salt in. Like these are poker players. It's just cool because poker players are very emotionalist. They don't like to really be too excited, but the emojis is really the one thing that's really got them to do it.
Well, Brewer picks up 2 pair here, top and bottom with his jack 5 suited. King Queen has 2 overs and some backdoor potential. A lot of backdoor potential. All the backdoors, Nano.
This is a limp pot, and Ruin F is going to practically pot it. I think Beirut will probably check raise. When you see a pot-sized bet, you're always thinking, man, this guy more likely to have a piece. It's just going to call, though, and the club.
Yep. One of those backdoors is still alive. I'm with you. I would have actually liked... I mean, obviously, you can say that his hand is so strong that maybe calling there is not too bad, but the pot-sized bet is pretty unusual. So at that point, I wouldn't have minded a raise. He's going to go check on the turn. And I think that Brewer might be a little sad to see that 4, because obviously his 2 pair could be counterfeited now. But we know that's not the case.
Yeah, I would like to see him go for value because he can represent some draws. Mainly the 8-9 is the most likely one. But, occasionally like the 10-8, the 10-9.
It is a scary one for him, though. Like,
yeah, but
the flush gets there on the turn and then the board pairs on the river. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, but I expect the flush to continue betting the turn, so I don't really count it that much. So he is going to go for a little bit of value, just hoping for a crying call.
Oh, like a blocker bet as well, no?
Yeah, but it's just so unlikely to get raised on that river card. Because also I expect pocket aces or kings that slow play just to continue betting the turn card.
All right. Well, now Ruin F is actually joining Ben CB as official short stacks at this final table. Brewer has Queen 9 in the small blind. Normally, that's at least a call, if not a raise. But I think everyone is getting a little intimidated by Arthur because Arthur is not giving away anything for free tonight, and he's not giving away this one either.
If I could repick my seat draw, I would always take position on Arthur because it seems like hell to play out of position against him.
Chris Fitzgerald's gonna just open it up here with the Queen 4 offsuit. You broke this man, Nano. You broke
Yeah,
him.
he's he's a machine right now. He's very aggressive. But people are giving him a lot of respect and still, which is what you want to have
Wow.
happen.
All right, 2 shorter stacks behind Arthur, and he's just going to shove the king queen. Rune F, as the second shortest stack at the table, has ace 7 suited in the small blind. What would you do here, Nano? Because
I think the right play is to fold. Yeah, he does fold. I think it's just a little bit too weak. You can be up against ace nines, ace tens, and ace jacks and stuff like that. Yeah, and your chips are just more valuable. I like the fold there, and you still have one player to act just in case.
you also like the shove from the bottom with king queen.
I love the shove. I would shove worse too. Like the jack tens, the queen nine suited. I think would be fine as well.
Don't talk bad about my favorite hand. Jack 10 is a
I don't
monster,
talk bad. I'm just saying Jack 10 suited is right here, right? Your favorite.
Yeah. And in the right suit as well, you know it. I love the hearts. 2 hearts are better than 1, Nano. And Jack 10 is going to shove, and B-Rule folds the A6. That's the power of the Jack 10 suited right there. Chris Fitzgerald, he knows what's up.
Yeah, Chris has been really pre-flop heavy game right now, and putting the pressure on these middling short stacks. I really can't call it off unless they've got it, and it's been working really well for him.
We still have Ben CB, our founder of Raise Your Edge, as he's going to ship in the A7 offsuit. A6, that'd be
too weak. It's way too weak. Yep. Yeah. I don't know much about this player, but I would be very surprised if he goes with this. Yeah, you're ahead sometimes, but look, Ben CB is going to shove better aces, and he clearly did right there.
And obviously, even if it was like a king-queen shove or something, then yeah, you're ahead by how much really, right? It's just the best spot that you're ever going to find. It's still kind of risky. Chris Fitzgerald is going to open up here with his ace-7 suited on the button, and he's going to take 1 away from Arthur. I feel like we've been focusing a lot on Arthur because Arthur's been making a lot of the right plays and the crazy plays, but our man, Chris Fitzgerald, is just on a run. 9.8 million chips at this point. Couple weeks ago,
almost on 10 million, right? It's almost there.
Yeah. The magical barrier.
Yeah, I remember he was folding like some big hands at last final table, right? And then he made that big play against LKS to bust the tournament, which was so unexpected. With that middle pair turned into a bluff, and now he's got the 10 million chips. It's all Chris Fitzgerald, and that's the one guy Arthur can't really play back at Chris because Chris has been attacking a lot, and he's got more chips than him.
Well, I think Arthur will make a stance. Don't worry. Just need something that's somewhat decent, not the absolute trash hands. Ben CB is truly a man who can't do much here. Does, of course, have a gutter, but it's the bottom end as well. Chris Fitzgerald actually has the card that Ben CB needs.
Yeah, well, Ben CB, I mean, with this hand, it does make sense that maybe he'll continue. He's really taking his time. He is going to just check fold, though. It is tough.
Nobody really picks up anything this round. To go back to some of the futures that we love over at GGPoker. You know what I think is really funny as well? When you're at one of these final tables and people are clearly trying to ladder, and then like 2 big stacks go all in, or like a big stack knocks out somebody in a middling position. The short stack, 99 out of 100 times, sends the thank you emoji. And it's like, it's pretty infuriating if you're the guy who just busted, because it's a really funny emoji, but at the same time, it definitely looks a little tilting. It's like, thank you. And they always spam it when somebody busts and people are lathering at the final table. It's funny if you're not on the wrong end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely pretty funny. So right now, it's kind of like the Ben CB and Rui F just kind of like trying to survive and stay alive. There's 2 big stacks in this one. It's a pair and an overpair.
Yep, Chris Fitzgerald with mid pair. Arthur with his 9s. Arthur definitely not going anywhere. You think this is always a calling spot, or do you think there's an argument to raise?
It's always a calling spot because of the stack situation. You guys have massive stacks. you can get blown. Say you check raise and you get called. There's a lot of turn cards you just don't know what to do on. Like say another club rolls off, say an overcard comes off. So, say even an 8 or 7, you just really never know where you're at. So you just want to call. And also, there's 3 guys that are really short. Yeah, and then he's gonna check call again here. Should go check now.
I'm gonna say I would have liked to see a raise there on the turn. Why the hell not?
I don't know. You can't,
yes, no. With the way that Arthur has been playing, come on. You're not worried about Chris Fitzgerald. He takes over the chip lead right now, by the way. We've got a new captain at the final table for the first time tonight. Arthur is a chip leader. Has King 9 suited here in the small
Now
blind.
he might 3-bet this one. I think he'll at least call, but he's definitely going to go for the 3-bet because it's different when you're the chip leader now. You put
Chris
the pressure
is gonna
on.
go crazy, I think. Obviously, you don't want to get too carried away in this little personal vendetta that you have with the other big stack. But at the same time, you're also like, hey, man, I've got ace queen over here. This is kind of interesting, of course, because neither player really flops a whole lot. Let's see. Will Arthur just continue? I have the feeling he will. This man doesn't care.
You got to continue when you're the chip leader and you 3-bet this spot because your opponents are going to call with like a lot of big cards that will just fold. Like queen jacks, king jacks, ace, ace jack. They might fold here. Ace 9s, but ace queen here. It doesn't have any backdoors. Does make the correct call.
Wow,
that's a king now for Arthur.
Yep. So Chris Fitzgerald is going to need a jack or an ace on the river, or he can just take it down with some insane plays. But I think at this point, Arthur will truly not go anywhere. It is obviously a bit scary with the 2 potential flush draws on board, but he's going to.
I mean, Arthur's also thinking like. He's going to feel pretty good. He's also thinking, let's not play for the rest of the chips. The king doesn't improve Chris too often, besides like a king, queen of heart type hand, king, jack of hearts. He is going to go slow it down. I think Arthur's just thinking, look, I don't want to bet and then like River have to play for all the chips, whether he bets himself or the other guy bets into him. Chris, though, ace
gut
queen.
shot.
He is going to fire a bet. I think he thinks that if Arthur had ace king, he would just continue firing. So he actually doesn't think Arthur picked up the king.
Wonder what Arthur does here. Do you think this is... I have the feeling that he might just raise here. Like, it'd be crazy, because obviously you're blowing up the pot.
Very crazy, yeah. It's slowed it down. It should go check, but that's a huge spot now.
Yep, 7.5 million chips in the middle. That is more chips than B-Rule, Ruin F, and Bensi B have combined, Nano.
Yeah, and it's the 2 chip leaders going for it. Everyone's just wishing someone just bust right now, but Chris, it's got enough showdown to go to check.
The king is going to be good here for Arthur, who will take a monstrous chip lead at this final table. Chris Fitzgerald, of course, still in second place with 5 million chips. But Arthur, 13.6 million chips. And I absolutely love the way he's been playing so far tonight. Of course, I understand that the way that he played that hand on the turn, it makes sense. But I feel like with the way that he's been playing, I just hope for some extra fireworks, Nano. I was letting the fanboys speak in me, none of this GTO ICM thing.
But it's all good. He's got 13 million chips now. Of course, he's going to ship this hand. Arthur's input. He's got a very good position to just add one more GG title to his resume. He's got 6.6 million in earnings. If he ships this, he's going to have 7 million after in a couple hours.
Quick maths with Nano. I love that, Nano. 6.6 million plus 400K, guys. 7 million. There you go.
Well done.
Yeah, well done. We're all very proud of you. Then CB with A6 offsuit in the small blind. I short a stack at the table. It's probably just a little too weak.
It sucks. He might go for it. He knows that Arthur calls though, so he's like forced to go all in because like Arthur's been making some big calls in spots where some other players would fold, like the pocket fives, queen 10 offsuit, and things like this. So that's not what you want when you got a reshoving weak hand like this. You want fold equity, so he is going to fold. That's a good thing. When you have that image where like, I don't give a crap. I'm gonna call you down. Like you get a lot more folds than you should in general.
Welcome to the Arthur show over here at GGPoker Official, as he is now completely just dominating this final table. Opening every hand, taking down pot after pot. Now above 14 million chips. He's got Jack 10. He ain't folding Jack 10. NCB might actually go for it here with King 9. He is the shortest stack, of course, at this final table.
He's running out of
Yep.
time, and he's like, look, if I don't shove this hand, I'm gonna have to eat the blinds. I'm gonna be down to like 700K soon, where I have 0 fold equity. Artur Jack 10 offs. He's like, should I just finish him off now or later?
I have the feeling he's gonna call. Like
He
I know
might.
that he will also. Obviously, you're almost always either flipping or you're behind. Oh, at 14.2 million chips, you're like, yeah. All right, he is going to make the correct fold. I think if they were suited, Nano, he would have called.
Oh, he would not fold if they were suited. But it's not a bad situation because it puts everyone in a tough spot. Here's going to be an all-in. It should be a call from the Ruin F. Ace 9 is just too strong here. I don't see how he can fold this. Yes, you don't want to get it all in before other people, but like you got to call against Artur, and he does make the call.
Ace 9 against King Jack. It's obviously pretty close. So far, Ace 9 still in the lead. Ace 9 is still good. And of course, the clubs as well. That's nice. Takes away another out. The Jack of clubs is no good. That is a picture card. A queen. Queen. I think it's queen.
I think that is a lady.
Yep.
Safe for Ruin F.
It's funny because we see the cards all the time, but then whenever your tournament live on online, you're like, is that a queen? And it's like, by now I kind of know, even though I do use a different deck. Of course, at GGPoker, you can select different cards, different backgrounds, and all that kind of stuff. I like the traditional or the 4-color deck. We're kind of using a 4-color deck here, but then I like to use the full card. I don't know if there's a
odds were definitely in Artur's favor, right? Because the picture card is Jack, Queen, and King, and Artur needed the King or the Jack, but not the Queen. So Artur was a favorite coming into that squeeze card right there.
66% that he was on the a little bit less because he obviously has 2 of the outs, right? We've got it all in. Ace 8 for Ben CB against King Queen suited. Ace 8 still in the lead. There is so many outs. Every heart, every king, every queen, every 10. And it is going to be a 10. That is going to be it for Ben CB, our founder of Raise Your Edge. Ben, we love what you're doing for StarCraft 2, and it was a pleasure watching you play at this final table. Boxway, 5th place, $136,000. And Nano, we are down to 4.
Down to 4. Ben CB played good. Look, I'm saying that middling stack, short stack, this guy still makes plays. He made plays. His downfall really was when he 3-bet against the 2 kings twice in a row and lost those chips. It was a bad play. It was just bad timing. Because sometimes your opponents wake up with hands. It's not like every time you make a 3-bet, it's always going to work. Sometimes they've got it. He's out in 5th. We're down to 4. It really does look like Artur is going to really just take down his tournament possibly. But Chris is still fighting in there. He's been playing pretty good. He came into his final table in 2nd place. He's got more chips than he started the final table with. He's got a chance, but you can't count out the original chip leader, Brewer, and of course, Ruin F, who's been playing really solid.
As Ruin F doesn't have much here. He is going to continue, actually, with his King Queen. Let's see what Artur does.
With this stack depth, it does make a lot of sense to just check call. By check raising, you kind of put too many chips in, given how many big blinds his opponent has. I'm not saying he's not going to check. He is going to go for check raise. But I do think it does get very dicey if you want to happen to put in all of the chips in.
I got to say, our top 4 did fire.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Artur check raised the 10-8, and Ruin F called with King Queen offsuit. The check raise and doesn't even have.
He called real quick as well, right? I was just taking a look at the amount of bullets they all fired to get into the top 4 here, and all of these guys did have more than one entry, but that is indeed very adventurous. I mean, Artur has been crazy, but King Queen.
Wow, he called again. I'm shocked. I guess he just thinks his opponent has 2 clubs or an inside straight draw. Artur now picks up better 2-pair against a 10. I think Artur probably would have called the river had he not picked up the 8. But at this point, he might think his opponent has Jack 10, Ace 10 type.
Oh no! Don't do it! Don't do it, Ruin F. I was watching a stream earlier this week. I'm not gonna call the player out, but made a call in a very similar scenario like this with just King High, and I was like watching the stream. I'm like, this guy must be like a million times better than me, because like to me that was like I could never call here with king high.
Well,
That's what I
Ruin
meant
F
to
is
call.
thinking about it right now, right? Well, I'll give him this. He does not block the club draws. He doesn't have a club in his hand, so his opponent could have a club draw that missed. I don't like it. I don't like it.
You do get bonus points for being on stream and calling a shove with your tournament live on the line with king high. If you're right, you're a legend. If you're wrong, the chat will go, what a punt. This is no other way to put it.
Don't punt it. Don't punt it, Ruin F. You're so good. Don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, Arthur has been crazy, but this would be next level crazy, of course. This is a big pot. I mean, don't forget it, Arthur, like Chris Fitzgerald is still at 6 million as well. These chips are still pretty valuable to Arthur. Of course, he's running over the table with the lead that he has, but don't do it, Runev. King, queen here. Don't do it. We know you're a legend, but you don't have to do it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. What? Yeah, okay.
Nice.
The 8 is a bad card for him to consider hero calling, because the hands he would still be picking off are like 7, 8, 8, 9, 7, 9 offsuits. So it just wouldn't have made any sense for him to call there. So I'm happy to see him. It just sucks because sometimes you're thinking, man, my king high is good. I called a flop, I called a turn, and like I'm gonna get this guy, and then you feel a little more committed to your decision because you put in so much to your stack. But sometimes you just gotta be like, you know, maybe I had a bad read on the flop or the turn, and let's just save myself on the river card.
Biru, the man who came in as chip leader into tonight's final table, now has pocket sevens, as he is our second shortest stack. Is he going to ship it in for roughly 14 big blinds?
You should. I mean, there's nothing to wait for. Okay, yeah, pretty much ship it in. Like, you know, when pros do this half stack shove, they're not folding, you know, so no need to discuss it too much, but yeah.
I'm like, no, Nano Noko, that was just a race, okay? he still
a race to see where you're at.
Yeah. He just wanted to test the waters, maybe get some multi-way pot and just take a flop. You know, he would still have 800k left. Wouldn't go right. Arthur picks up a pot there with his ace-6 offsuit.
Yeah, we might get the heads up pretty soon.
You know, I feel right now there's an interesting dynamic because Arthur is looking at Chris Fitzgerald. Chris Fitzgerald is looking at Arthur. Biru is looking at Runev. Runev is looking at Biru. And it's like, what are we doing here, guys? Is this tango?
Yeah, who's looking at who? I think what should happen is that Chris will play pretty tight, and he should play pretty tight right now. He should still open some hands because he's got a strong stack size where Arthur can't really play back him crazy.
Whoa. Oh, no. Aces, are you kidding me, Nano?
Kings and 2 short stacks have it.
Yeah. The two guys that were looking at each other, they've been eyeing each other for the last 15 minutes over here. You're short, I'm short, wanna dance? And Rune F is now saying, weapons ready. Let's dance. Arthur, this is not the moment, by the way. Arthur, you know you've been getting very active, but this is not the moment.
Even Ruin Ev is loving it, right? He's thinking like, oh man, I got this guy. Maybe I should just flat call. There's a chance Ruin F just flat call is just thinking, look, I'm going to trap this Beirut. I'm not sure what he's going to do. He is going to ship it. Oh no, not for Ruin F. Should have just busted the king queen, right? God.
Kings versus aces. Aces in the lead. Pick up a flush draw as well. A king and a king only, or it's all over for Rune F. And that is not a picture card. So that is going to be it, Nano. We are down to 3. Rune F will walk away with $182,000. Played some great poker, especially I think in the first part of our final table. Had some really interesting battles with Chris Fitzgerald. I think that was a lot of fun to watch. But this is just as gnarly as they come.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know, he was a short stack. So I guess it's worse. It's worse if you have like 50 big blinds and you bust that spot. So we'll give them that. But regardless, 3 down to 3. How much are they guaranteed now? Is it?
Next payout is $245,000. Like I said, we had 183,000 for Rune F. Pay jumps will go 245, 329, and $442,000 for the winner. As we have Chris Fitzgerald 3-betting here with his ace queen suited.
Yeah, Chris is not afraid to play against Archer. One of the big things is that we don't do deal making in this 10K Super Million. So they always playing for like 100K pay jumps and stuff like that. And we're on to our break with 3 people left.
Yep. It took a long time before we started losing players today. We have a couple minutes. You guys know the drill. Of course, just want to mention one more time. If you guys are enjoying this show, make sure to follow the channel over on Twitch. After this break, I've got a cool little announcement I want to talk to you guys about as well. I actually wanted to tell you about it, Nano, but I'll keep you in suspense. I'll let Nano know after this break. But that's just more cool stuff that's coming up over here at this Twitch channel. We hope you guys are enjoying this final table. We definitely are. Arthur is in the driver's seat to potentially take it all, but Chris Fitzgerald won't go down without a fight. Or maybe once upon a time chip leader Brewer can turn things around. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back in just a couple of minutes to continue the coverage of the 9th edition of the High Roller Super Millions played over at GGPoker. We'll see you guys soon. All right, guys, we are back to bring you guys the coverage of the 9th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. Nano, before the cards are truly going again, we got some crazy pots. I just want to let you know. First of all, what are you doing on Thursday, Nano?
I don't know. Nothing really. What's up?
All right, on Thursday, we're going to run a very special little StarCraft poker event where 6 StarCraft streamers will all participate in the same flight for one of the mini mains. And we're all going to stream it. So, normally we broadcast very high level poker on this channel. On Thursday, it's not going to be super high level, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Multiple StarCraft streamers all playing in the same event. And we're going to see who will last the longest, or if one of us will actually make an epic run and potentially qualify for something big. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun coming up Thursday evening, 9 p.m. So basically Friday morning for you. So if you've got nothing on the Friday morning,
I'm gonna go watch that. I'll watch that. Watch some Roddy actually play some poker. That'll be cool.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. I just saw one of the StarCraft players actually of Ben CB's team also tweeted Ben CB saying like, great run, you did great. A couple of great decisions were made. So that's very fun to see as well, that even the StarCraft players on Raise Your Edge were watching the stream. That's really fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Hopefully, if I were you, copy that guy Arthur, right? He's the one that's going to take down this tournament at the pace that's going at it.
Well, Arthur is the guy I want to be when I play poker, but most of the time I'm the guy who busts very early because I'm not Arthur. All right, he's going to fire a bet here with Jack 4 of hearts. Has absolutely nothing. Chris Fitzgerald, though, refuses to give up with his Queen 7.
Yeah, Chris just thinks the Queen is good. He's got the backdoor club draw as well, plus potential. And Arthur doesn't have anything. Can he fire one more bet? If he fires again, he's targeting those king high type hands, ace highs and queen highs. It's a hard bet to make, but he got it done. Jack 4 suited, nothing.
I love the way Arthur has been playing tonight. We've seen a lot of spectacular performances at these final tables already, of course, over the last 9 weeks. But this is definitely a very memorable one as well. Of course, earlier on, his tournament life was on the line once or twice, was in big pots, could have gone either way. But you give Arthur some chips, and he is showing us what to do with those. Non-stop aggression, and B-Rule will probably just give it up here. He's like, I don't want to mess with Arthur. Let Arthur knock out Chris Fitzgerald. I'll take second place, man. It's all good.
Yeah, Beru, I mean, he came to the final table as a chip leader, but he's top 3. It's just still good regardless of what happens at this point. Chris came to his final table in second place and is going to get guaranteed top 3, which is also really good no matter what. Right now, it's Arthur. And like you said, he gave him a walk. It's 7s versus the ace king. I don't see how they can get away from this.
It is 20 big blinds. What will Beru do? Arthur was probably looking at his Jack 8 suited. He's like, this is way better than most of the hands I've been playing. But he will get out of the way. And Chris Fitzgerald is probably just going to rip it all in here.
Yep, he is going to rip in the 7s. Yeah, it's a tough spot, but you got to go for it. And it's a coin flip for a lot of chips.
Yep, and it's an ace on the flop, and that means that Beru, a once upon a time chip leader, is now in all sorts of trouble. Needs one of the last 2 7s in the deck.
It's a chance, isn't it?
There is a chance. There is a good chance.
But missing the middle one.
Yep. Just missing 1 bip there. And that means that we are down to 2. Our chip leader will walk away with $245,000. Now we are heads up. Arthur gives him the good luck. I wouldn't be surprised if he also adds, you're going to need it, because that's the way that he's been playing tonight.
Oh, I love it. I mean, like, it does kind of seem like these 2 guys should be betting out heads up. Thank you. That's the one you're talking about.
Yep, that's my second favorite emote. The first one is the not sure if. I love that one. I don't know who designed the not sure. It's such a nice little skeptic face. This could be an interesting hand, as Chris Fitzgerald does pick up the not flush draw. Now also picks up a straight draw. With a 5, of course, he'd make the straight.
Yep. So they are playing for $120,000 difference right now, and no deal is possible. So this is a big high stakes match going on. And another bet from the 6-9 high, and Chris, he's going nowhere, but he also doesn't have any pair yet.
Yeah, but you won't give this up. Heads up.
You were not
this
giving
much
up.
potential.
And no,
Gets
nice.
there. And he gets there. Makes the second nut flush. It goes check on the river. Arthur just knows when to get away as well. But Chris Fitzgerald does pick up one hell of a pot. He's now at 10 million chips. By the way, I want to go back to the beginning of this show, Nano.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when you asked me, Roddy, who do you pick? Who did Roddy pick?
Roddy did pick Arthur, and you nailed it. He's playing great. That's perfect. You know, I haven't really watched him play too much, but I'm a really big fan of him. I think we're going to see him in future final tables for sure. But right now, he's got to concentrate and ship this extra 120,000 to him, and outflopped by the 3-7.
Yep, this is pretty unfortunate, actually. Obviously, post-flop, this was looking mighty fine or pre-flop, right? It was looking mighty fine for Arthur. Post-flop, not so much. It's going to fire 400,000 chips. Chris Fitzgerald with the raise, and Arthur will immediately get out of the way. But that does mean that they're getting closer and closer. We definitely have one hell of a match here on our hands. I don't see why this would end immediately, even though Arthur has been pretty crazy aggressive, but now they're both pretty deep.
Yeah, this could take some time. Just point out, so I'm looking at the final table profile, and Chris Fitzgerald, this is his third time playing the Super Millions. He's cashed all 3 times, and 2 of them are final tables. One being the 5th place, 1 14th, and here it's at least the top 2. And you know, his all-time money list, live poker, is 58,000 only. GGPoker wins only 185,000. So hasn't had any success in those spots yet, but clearly it's the Super Millions is the one he should just be playing, the only tournament he should play.
He doesn't have much here. We'll probably just get out of the way. It is worth mentioning, of course, that Arthur did fire 4 bullets to get where he currently is at. But hey, that was one hell of an investment, right? 40K into a guaranteed more than 300,000 and a potential $440,000. He's not there yet. Chris Fitzgerald was in for 3 bullets, but also not the worst investment I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like, look, Isaac Haxton put in 5 bullets and he shipped the tournament, remember? And he came in as the shortest stack in that tournament. He won. So, you know, anything can happen. Anything.
Yeah, Isaac needed to ladder at the final table to actually make it profitable.
I remember. Yeah, that was great.
Did we actually ever have a chip leader coming into the final table winning it all? Like, I'm thinking back, but I don't remember a chip leader actually.
I think we did. I really do feel like we did. We'll have to look into that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Adamo was in second, wasn't he, when he came to the... Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I really do feel like we did, but I'm not sure.
Must have been in one of the earlier weeks, because I think in the previous weeks that has absolutely not been the case. Holiday got close. He got heads up. And he had a nice roller coaster.
Also almost went out in like 9th place somehow.
Yeah. I mean, no, mate. He had 8 million chips coming into the final table.
So yeah, they're playing 75 big blinds deep. There's about 150 big blinds total in play. You know,
if I was one of these guys, I'd be hopping into the VIP table over at GGPoker immediately right after they see if Limitless is playing. Let's go.
I wanted to kind of mention that right now there's a 501k game going on. Limitless is in there. Timofey Kuznetsov, which is True Teller, is in there. And Christopher Brewer, didn't I tell you about Christopher Brewer earlier? He was at this final table. Yesterday, I saw him lose 100K playing this game. I was like, oh, he needs to get deep to kind of ship his 100K back. He did not do that successfully, but he's back in this game, playing the 501K game. So, I mean, this guy's clearly, he's got the money to play. He's got the skill set. Hopefully, he can run up his stack. And the other day, I saw Limitless Victor with 950,000 at the table when that game eventually broke. That's US dollars. It's almost $1 million. So yeah,
the nosebleeds are back, and it's a lot of fun to watch. It's almost surreal to watch. I feel like it's like, well,
I didn't expect it to come back. To be honest, it's just amazing to watch.
King Queen is going to make a little bet here on the river. Arthur feeling pretty good about his pair of queens, and he's going to take it down. So he will remain the chip leader.
Yeah, Archer is hard to read because he can go for
Ooh.
big bets with really like second pair type hands. It's ace, king, and 2-6s. It's a limp from Chris, which is actually
Wow.
going to build this pot up because he's going to limp re-raise, and I don't know what Archer's going to do with the 2-6s.
Might just call.
Yeah, I mean,
ship it.
I'm surprised Chris decided to go for the limp raise at this point, given the stack depth, and I think that's what Archer is confused by. Is, are you really limp raising me? He does make the call.
Oh my god!
Look
What
at
a
this hand.
flop!
This could be set versus nut flush draw, 2 overs.
Oh! Archer is going to feel really good about it.
He checks it. Chris checked it and potentially saved himself from ending this turn because the 7 is a terrible card.
Yep. At this point, any 4, any 9 makes a straight, but with the way that this has gone, it's a bit unlikely. The runout is clean, though, for Arthur. I mean, clean. Yeah, it's weird, but with the way that
he
Chris
should go for value.
Yeah. You just don't put Chris Fitzgerald ever on a 9 or a 4 unless he has pocket 9s, right? That's like the only hand.
And Chris is actually in a tough spot because this is a 4-bet pot, and he might think the ace-king is good. A lot of times... his opponent might stab here. The thing is, this is what I'd be thinking. If I thought ace-king was good, I would expect my opponent to bluff at it on the turn because the 4 straight runs out. So he does make the call.
Yep.
This could have been bigger pot, though.
Exactly. I mean,
it's already huge.
yeah. It's still 9 million. We can't really call this a small pot, but on that flop, I wouldn't have been surprised to just see it go all in. So Arthur sends him the nice hand emoji. Come on, Chris, give him the so sick.
I was about to say, this could be a long heads-up match, right? We had 75 big blinds each. That almost ended it right there, but the tricky play from Chris Fitzgerald actually saved him in the end.
3-1 chip lead at this point, though, and we know how aggressive Arthur is, so at this point, it can definitely end at any given moment. Still quite some big blinds, of course, for Chris Fitzgerald, over 30. But Arthur is not going to slow down. Arthur might hop in the game as well. Is there a waiting list for the VIP game?
Right now, there is an open seat, so we can try to get in there.
No, I cannot.
Okay, we can try to get Chris or Arthur to get in there.
Exactly. I mean, I think after winning a tournament like this, it's been broadcasted, whole cards up, you might just feel like in a winning mood. You make a nice glass of wine for yourself and you go up, hop on in there. I love the setting and the scenery of the VIP table as well. It looks really cool.
It looks like where VIP should be playing, right? Like it's such a classy. It's cool. I just love all the features are cool. Arthur is going to open up. So everyone's making it 2.5x at this point. So they are juicing up the pots pre-flop a little bit. Some players opt to go for like the min raise or the 2.2. So we are going to shrink the stack to pot ratio slightly. There's the bet.
Of course, if you guys want to read more about these players, there is a link on the screen, www.gg.gl/sm. You guys can always read a little more about the players that do make it into the final table. That is an interesting turn card, because Arthur now picks up a gut shot. But Chris Fitzgerald with 2 pair, and Arthur decides to fire at it.
Yeah. Chris is trying to think, should he go for the check raise, thinking his opponent's got the Jack X type hand, or maybe it's like a draw, like 2 diamonds and 2 hearts that might give more action? Should he just check call? He is going to go for the jam, but, just hoping his opponent had a piece, but did not.
You know what would be very cool, Nano? After we've done this tournament for, I don't know, let's say 27 weeks, then we do an invitational with the 27 champs. Well, we need to do 28 because Michael Demo won it twice, you know what I mean? But a Champions Edition only of the High Roller Super Millions. That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be really cool. We can't do final table only because everyone's going to final table at that point. But that'd be cool. And hopefully GG hears that. It's like, you know what? That's a good idea.
If just Michael Demo can stop winning them, so we don't have to postpone this plan forever, but that should be difficult even for Michael. Ace-8 is going to raise, take it down. But Chris Fitzgerald definitely climbing back, right? At one point, it was a 3-1 chip lead. At this point, it's just a 2-1.
Yep, with that last hand of 6-5, he's going to limp the queen 5, and because he's limped the ace king suited, and his opponent has seen it, he's going to be able to limp some weaker hands and get free flops. So it looks like it is checking down right now. I think Archer can consider value betting now. He's seen his opponent check the 10 and the jack, so it just seems so unlikely the 7 is not
He will.
Quick call, nice.
He will, and he will get the call. Always feels good. Oh, yeah, look at me with 7 deuce. They were suited. It's
It was
to raise up
pair as well. Yeah.
That is one hell of a flop for 10-3. It's going to continue immediately. Jack 7 obviously picks up a little action there as well. And 10 on the turn would be feisty. It is going to be the ace of spades. Chris is going to check it. Arthur will check it back. Jack 7 is still good. Value bet, Nano.
Value bet.
Yeah.
Well, can 10-3 make a stab? I don't know. He is going to stab. Wow. Very well done. Very good hand reading at that point.
Yep, Chris, other than calling one time. Uh-oh. 10 jack in the small blind against the ace queen. Ace queen probably going to raise it up here. And then Fitzgerald will just make the call.
Yeah, this would make a lot of sense. So inside straight draw for Chris, I think that's enough to probably continue here with position. You know, you might hit the queen, but then, you know, your opponent, they probably will bet this flop and just check fold the turn a lot. So he's going to make the call.
Arthur, of course, has one of those queens. Makes it a little harder for Fitzgerald to hit it.
I think Arthur is going to keep betting. He's going to try to get like a king to call him. And he's got the image to get it done. But unfortunately, his opponent just doesn't have anything.
So we're almost back to that 3-1 chip lead that we had before. Arthur definitely winning the majority of the pots so far, ever since we got heads up and won the biggest one. That helps a lot. Queen 7. At this point, it becomes a little harder to call these kind of pots, right? Especially out of position. Like check fold is just, it becomes really painful at one point. 400K every single time.
Yeah, but you do need to defend the queen 7 offsuit. The thing with heads up poker is you need to play a lot of hands, both from the small blind and the big blind. If you do not, you pretty much can just... If you knew your opponent was folding hands this strong, you practically can just raise any 2 cards on the button and you would just print money in a heads up match. So you do need to make these defenses. Yes, you're going to miss a lot, but that's why the hand quality to continue post flop, you know, goes down. You can continue with some high cards a bit more, inside straight draws, stuff like this.
Queen high call. Come on, Fitzgerald, give it to us.
Oh no, I mean, Archer's like timing is really good because like he's always pipped by a little bit, but throws in the last bet to just take it down.
Ace 3, heads up, obviously one hell of a hand. Is he just going to make the limp one more time? I think Archer will just check this one. He's like, I've been aggressive enough.
But Archer's been getting some free flops, which he probably shouldn't be getting with these hands. So, you know, he still gets to get a little bit of realized equity with hands that should be going into the muck.
Not much going for the 4 deuce here. He's like, Archer is like, well, I'm playing the board. It's hard. It's hard to win when you're playing the board. So Chris will pick up a little pot, but obviously that could have been a bit more. Even though if he would have raised, there's a good chance it would have just gone raise fold pre-flop. Arthur this time with the ace 3 is going to raise it, and he will take it down pre-flop. I think it's time to raise.
I would like to see him raise, but he's been limping a lot lately. But he is going to start raising again. Arthur is going to continue with the king 6. Is he feeling frisky?
He's been a feisty man, and he will continue being feisty. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Fitzgerald just rips it all in here. Like, yes, he's still pretty deep, but Arthur has been crazy aggressive. He's just going to make the call, and he will get out flopped.
I think he should have shipped that one in against a man like R2 who's going to 3-bet garbage like this, because ace-8 suited, it plays good post flop, but also it doesn't play good as well.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. No worries. Oh well. Arthur is still in the lead here, of course, with his pair of kings. He's going to slow down here, or he could be setting up a trap, hoping that Chris Fitzgerald takes a stab at it.
I think
it's obviously a big pot. Yep, it's definitely a trap. I mean, there are more chips in the middle. Oh, that's bad news, I think, for Fitzgerald as well. Might be feeling a little better about his hand at this point.
Archer continues to lay the trap, and this is going to just go check. It should, right? Well, is Chris really going to go for value with a pair of eights? I don't know. I mean, Arthur puts his opponent on like a 5-7 type hand, you know, some kind of like inside straight draw. He's trying to get him the stab.
Oh my goodness, no. That is going to be it, Nano. Arthur will take it down, and he is going to become our 8th champion of the high rollers. Super Millions played over at GGPoker. Of course, we had 9 editions. Michael Adamo won 2 of them. Arthur will win this one in dominating fashion, I may add. What an absolutely insane performance it's been by him. $442,000 for him. He did fire 4 bullets. This wasn't a 1 entry. It wasn't a 2 entry. Fired 4 bullets, but a reasonable return on investment, I'd say. Chris Fitzgerald, of course, fired 3 bullets. You know, this is what it is. You fire 3 bullets, you win 300K. You fire 4 bullets, you win 400K, Nano. Who's going to fire 5 bullets next week when the field gets even bigger? He's going to win it.
Yeah. You know, like Chris Fitzgerald, you know, a good performance from him. He came into final table in 2nd place and got 2nd place. He got a lot of money. The heads-up match, he didn't. I guess he got a little bit outplayed in that heads-up match, but that's okay. He still did really well. He really grew on me a lot. Like the last final table, we've been saying like I didn't like the way he played so much. But this one, I really like how he played, and you know he did really well. He's played this tournament 3 times, 2 final tables, 1 place, one's the 2nd place, one's the 5th place. So it's good to see Chris do that. And this is a guy I don't know much about, but you know we see these guys come back to the final table all the time, and they kind of grow on you, and it's really cool to see. And we got to give it to your man Arthur. I asked you who's your pick, and you picked the Russian Arthur, and he played amazing poker. He's known as Arthur online. He won 625Ks on GGPoker. He had 6.6 million earnings on GGPoker. And what I said if he wins this tournament, he's going to have 7 million. You told me that was the good math. He's got over 7 million earnings now. He played amazing. I think he played the best here. I'm happy to see him win. He deserved it.
Yeah, I love the way that he played. It's very obvious that he wasn't playing to ladder in this tournament. Like, yeah, he could have been a little more patient early on, but no, he was crazy with his ace-queen, I think, earlier, and then definitely a big one with 5s or 6s it was. Yes, those are big spots. You could be on the wrong end of it, and it could be all over at that point, and you finish in 7th or 8th place. But Arthur was never playing for a top 5 finish in this tournament. Arthur was in it to win it, and the moment that this man got some chips, I loved it. Definitely some Michael Adamo vibes as well, right? Just incredibly aggressive, involves himself in almost every single pot, never gives away a big line, gives nobody a walk. It was a lot of fun. I feel like every single week, it's memorable for different reasons. This was definitely a memorable performance. Like last week, we had the Cinderella story with Lucas Greenwood. 4.5 big blinds, refused to die, somehow doubled, and won the entire thing. That was insane. But this poker performance by Arthur was also incredible.
Yeah, it was really good to see. And you know what? There's a 501K game going on GGPoker. You guys can actually open up the client and watch it yourselves. We're going to wait and see if Arthur joins, right? Like he's got 440K extra to go join. He probably won't, but there's always a chance as long as he keeps listening. There's like, maybe I will give that a shot.
I think momentum is a real thing, and being in a winning mood does really help when you're playing poker, when you're just feeling a little better about the plays you make. So after you take a tournament down like this, which of course starts on Sunday, this tournament always starts on Sunday. That's when the signups are open, that's when the tournament starts, and then we play down to the final 9. So he had a day and a half to look forward to this final table, and he crushed it. if there was ever a moment to hop into the VIP game over at GGPoker, Nano, I think this is the moment.
Yeah, it's been amazing, man. Thanks for having me again, Roddy.
No, thank you for joining us. Of course, as always, it's a lot of fun. Love it. You do gotta, Nano, I think it's pretty obvious that you dominate me in every single aspect when it comes to poker. Other than the picking game, I feel like the picking game, I'm kind of out picking you. I don't want to say much, but it ain't the first time. I'll keep it at that.
Yeah, but hey, I did get Adamo, right? I got him twice.
that is true, but I feel like at that point that's almost cheating. Like that's just going for the obvious favorites. Like I see what you're doing. All right, guys, that is going to be it for this week's edition of the High Roller Super Million. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to follow the Twitch channel if you haven't done it yet. A lot of cool tournaments coming your way. A lot of awesome coverage of some of the epic tournaments that are currently being played over at GGPoker. You guys know the drill by now. GGPoker is insane at the moment. There is action at all stakes, not just the crazy high stakes that Nano has been talking and railing, but throughout the entire day, there's so many different tournaments going on. A lot of qualifiers, of course, for the WSOP events. Can still win a bracelet this summer. It ain't easy. Last funny thing, Nano. Yesterday I was playing a little side event and I had Brad Owen at my table. And that's kind of cool as well, right? Because as somebody, I always watch his videos and I think he does an amazing job. And suddenly he's sitting next to me. And these are things that also right now can happen over at GGPoker. So I think that's a lot of fun. But that's going to be it for us. I will be back on this channel on Thursday evening where we're doing a little fun StarCraft 2 survival challenge. 6 poker players that are not incredibly good are going to see who will make the deepest run and then walk away with a nice little bonus prize. That's going to happen Thursday evening, I believe, 9 p.m. Central European Summertime. And of course, we'll be back with the High Roller Super Millions next Tuesday. Same time as always, 8 p.m. pre-show, 8:30 Central European Summertime. Cards go up in the air, which is 2 p.m. on the East Coast and 11 a.m. on the West Coast. Thank you for watching and have a good night.